I think we're finally live. Why is it? Why is this on? No. Oh my god. It's like the old me. I'm sorry, everybody. For the last time, this one is a good one, I think. Hey, look, we fixed it.
So it's all fixed now. Now for the audio, last check for the audio.
Audio check. Oh my god. It's like the old me. I'm sorry, everybody. For the last time, this one is a good one, I think. Hey, look, we fixed it.
So it's all fixed. Okay, that's for the audio. Last
chat.
check for the last thing to check.
Audio check. Oh my god. It's like the old me. I'm sorry,
feedback
everybody.
from Zoe. That should still work now.
Feedback from Zoe. Oh,
Yeah, from Discord.
It should still work, yeah. Okay.
We're frozen.
Oh no.
Don't switch pages too much, I think.
When it's frozen.
No, you just stopped it.
Okay.
Press on this button to live again. Okay.
We're doing it.
Set.
Okay, I think we're actually doing it. I think we just done it. Copy this one. New link for everybody. I have to remove this story. I'm sorry again. I'm just it. Why is everything not working?
Don't worry.
Boom. Don't really care what's on the picture. Just give me the link.
So now you're exposing the channel you didn't want to expose.
Yeah, but it was already exposed last week, so.
Last week, did you also stream through YouTube or was it just Discord? Kind of like totally out of the.
Last week I did the same thing, but instead of like fixing the camera and having the chat on, I did just a projection of the video, above it, like I said before. Okay. Link is shared. I think we're off. So hi everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Before Tomorrow Begins podcast. I've invited here one of my good friends, Doedzie, world famous AI experts on cutting edge techniques.
Yeah, I'm the maker of ChatGPT.
Basically, like they paid him to not mention his name for ChatGPT, but he's actually the creator and author of ChatGPT. So let's all give it up for them, Doedzie. Thank you for co-hosting with me or being my guest of honor.
Guest of honor. I insisted I'm not a co-host because well, I don't know. I'll just be a guest. But as a guest, I'll start at the first question. I am out of the loop for what the reason of your podcast is. I haven't watched last week. I have never heard.
Oh my god! How dare you!
So I'm just curious. Like, what are you trying to like? What's the entertainment? Is it like?
So I'll repeat a bit what I said before. So for me, Before Tomorrow Begins is actually like the meaning of let's stand still in this moment and let's talk about things before the next day starts. Let's get some things off our chest. Let's have some community talk. Okay. People that have issues with something can address them, and we can talk about it in an open setting. Like, I was thinking about more discussion-wise, but maybe conversation is a better word. Just an open conversation with everybody that is willing to talk with us.
Awesome. Okay, that's nice.
So last week's topic was a pretty good one in the sense that it's kind of the reason why I'm starting this and why I'm doing this. So today is gonna be more like interesting and more.
Wait! Don't say that.
I put it all on you. Yeah. Put it all on you. No. Obviously, we're still getting used to the streaming and podcasting. I'm no expert at all, so audio quality will hopefully be better in the future. I understand that for a podcast it is pretty important, but we can only roll with the reams that we have. How do you say it?
I don't know if it's an English.
With the pedals we have.
The pedals we have, yeah. But like the one way to becoming an expert is to trying it and doing it, right? Yeah, there's a lot of people scared because they don't have the optimal setup and they're scared. And I love that you're just trying, even though like people will be like, I don't know, you're trying, and that's nice. So
yeah, I think that's the most important step. Just begin to do something. Like we are all sitting. I'm honest about, I was thinking about doing something like this for a year or longer already.
That's so nice. Yeah.
Because I have this channel, I was trying stuff. It was more financially orientated, so this one is a bit different in a sense.
Yeah.
This is more like community based, and I think it has way more value than me trying to explain how to lose 1K.
Exactly, because I just wanted to say, like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but don't you have to have like, and I don't know your record, your financial record, but don't you have to be like almost a guru before you can start like teaching stuff?
Yeah, it was an experiment for me.
Yeah, no, but like I said, I love that you're trying. I really love, because also like talking about stuff, especially some deep stuff, is something that's difficult to do, and I think up and like clearing the taboo a bit of
Yeah, and especially about difficult topics like addiction, I think.
Yeah.
These are not easy topics to talk about. This one is a bit more fun, I think, and also more in things I want to talk about. Like
okay.
addiction is also a very good one, but I think like innovation and technology is more what I live for in these kind of days. You know, like what kind of thing is the next thing is gonna happen? Like nobody knew about ChatGPT, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden it was there, and everybody was using it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh shit, where did it come from? Where did it go? What is gonna happen?
No, exactly. But the thing is also like I for a long time was very driven by technology and by innovation and by, whoa, let's look at the new cool stuff we're doing, and I know that it's improving stuff, but on the other hand, sometimes it seems like something to do, because like it might sound suddenly pretty deep or
No,
pretty,
no,
but it's like
there's no skill.
because we have no other purpose than just progressing. Like we're just like, oh,
That's
what
yeah,
to
that's
do?
the
Just
main
progress.
that's the main purpose. Why? What's evolution?
Yeah, but I know that progression is like the way to go, but sometimes I feel like we're not standing still. Like you could live your entire life working for some progression, and especially in like this big society that we live in, you play like this tiny minuscule parts of a bigger progression, and then like you get old, you die, and then you're like, oh, so now I help society go forward, but like what was my life? Just striving for some technology or some innovation that like why even?
But
Like sometimes I feel like we're just inventing stuff to keep ourselves busy, you know?
That's very true, and I think that's one of the big reasons why humans are dominating the world. Like we are inherently trying to better ourselves and get more out of it, and
Yeah.
be as a community better off on the next in the next generation. But at the end of of your year, like what does the individual get? It's a very good observation. Like that's why I think it's also more important to highlight like different projects that you have. You have like your main job and you're
Yeah.
working 9 to 5, but what do you do outside of it? What do you
Yeah.
strive for? What do you are trying to accomplish? I think like this is a very good setting to talk about this thing.
No, no.
Maybe we're getting a bit off track in the start, so
Yeah, sure.
but,
sure, yeah.
it's definitely something I want to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe we'll do a quick introduction first. So Doedzie, all jokes aside, is actually an AI engineer.
Well, AI engineer, yeah, okay. You call it that, but I'm
Oh,
more
it
of a
is,
software
right?
developer. I use AI, but I don't like
You incorporate the AI that your firm builds, or is it not an AI that they build?
like we build some simple AIs, like some models. We train some simple models, but for a lot of use cases, we just as everyone, we use existing models because they're just
Yeah,
so
they're
good.
just better.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. But that's also like integration of the AIs, maybe is a better word.
Yeah, and like learning about sorry, I'm hijacking your introduction, and,
No,
and
no.
learning to work with AI, because I think especially as a developer, because my main like day-to-day thing is I'm a software developer. Like if you're not learning to work with AI now, you're like you will fall behind.
Yeah.
You'll miss the boat.
That's what I'd say
For
to
sure.
to my boss too. Like he sees it too, but like people are investing not enough in AI to
Yeah.
actually improve their businesses, because
100%.
at this moment we are really at the frontiers of where AI is going. Like
Yeah.
finally we can see real applications for the AI, except for beating the chess champion or whatever.
Exactly.
That's like very impressive. It's like, what does it fix for me in my daily life? You know?
Yeah, I know, but like with every invention, the first parts are like they seem useless, but it's just an achievement for some specific like behind the scenes stuff, like um, increasing complexity for example chess. That's like something that to learn from AI. It's not like the purpose was to be chess. The purpose was to like improve AI, and one of the things was chess or what was it, StarCraft or whatever. Um, but yeah, no, I know, but still in AI, I find that we've never progressed more. Technology has never progressed more than AI because what was it? 1 year and a half, no, 2 years ago, I think I finished my thesis, which was to build an AI. And back then, AIs were like, "Oh, look at this cool new stuff," and pretty gimmicky. Okay, I wasn't like cutting edge
No.
technology and stuff, but it was like, okay, that's cool. Now it can do some stuff that we can't. And then suddenly, like 2 years time, it's like, oh, let's dominate the world now. Um,
And
so
I
as you
think
say, we're sorry.
no.
As you say, we're at the frontier of something that's gonna go like super quickly, more quickly or faster than we've ever seen before.
Yeah,
I think.
I think that's true for all technologies, but especially for AI because it can kind of improve itself and build
Yeah.
upon itself.
Yeah.
And that's a bit the scary part, but we'll get there later.
Yeah.
But first, maybe I think it's important to make a distinguishment between AI, a deep neural network, and an algorithm.
Yeah.
Do you know the difference between those three?
So, well, difference between
Oh.
an AI and an algorithm is it's or well, now I'm excluding like generative AI like ChatGPT that generates from itself because I don't know anything about it except for how
Wait,
to use it.
explain generative
So
AI.
ChatGPT is generative, so it can generate new stuff. Well, like all AIs can generate new stuff, but it's a different fields, and I don't know exactly.
Oh,
what it does,
yeah.
but you have different AIs like
You have things that can make new data, sort of, and then you have things that can analyze the data, and that's
yeah, but
maybe
like
when you.
like in very basic like machine learning in very basic concepts, and I'm not an expert at all. I've been out of the loop.
Oh, you're a world-renowned expert.
Exactly. So please, if anyone else knows anything about it, don't judge me if I can't remember it right. But you have like the way of looking at an algorithm, you define the workings of a function and you get a result. And the way in which most AIs or most models work is you get a result and you feed it to this thing, and this thing makes your function. So instead of saying, "Oh, I have function and I want my results," you say like, "Here are the results. Now be the function, and whenever later I want a new result, I can just tell you like, oh, and here's some new stuff. Be your function again." So instead of generating responses, you're actually generating the function itself, which you don't know. That's why it's nice because with very complex stuff, lots of data, lots of parameters, you cannot build a function. You just cannot. There's too many like variables, and it would take like.
I think what you're hitting here is very interesting because the function I think relates to an algorithm,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Function is an algorithm, so you give it an input, it does something with the input, and it gives you an output.
Yeah.
But now, like you're saying, you give the input and the output, and it creates a function in between.
Yeah.
Actually, the algorithm that changes one into the other.
Exactly. So it makes the function. It's like if you don't know the function, you just give some inputs, give some outputs, and then it'll make its function. And so there are different ways of doing AI. Some it's like you have your input and you have your output labeled. You have like, oh, this is you have a picture of a cat and the result is a cat, and that's input outputs, and you just feed it all the way through this AI, and then after a while it starts learning the thing. But what I did, and that's reinforcement learning. That's something different, and that uses neural networks. But I forgot the deep networks were also. I think deep neural
We'll
networks.
come to it.
Yeah. But so what that does is it doesn't have an output, and it doesn't have it has inputs, but it doesn't have an output that's labeled to the input. So what you do is you make an environment, albeit simulated, albeit real, and so you give it inputs. It tries to do something, and then with that output that it tries, like you say, like here's a picture of a cat, but he doesn't know that it's a cat. Here's a picture. Try to guess what it is. If it's a cat, then we'll give you some points. The environment change.
Yeah.
Well, with the picture it's difficult because that's not a use case. But the environment will change. Your simulated environment will
So
change.
I think maybe for the listeners, you give it like kind of weights. Like
Yeah.
if something is resembling a cat, you say, this one is more true than the other one.
Yeah. Well.
And then
Well. Yeah.
on that kind of sense, it can make a sort of balance on, oh, if these features are present in the picture, then I can definitely say it's a cat.
Yeah.
If they are not present, then you say that you give feedback to it from, no, this is not present, it's not a cat.
Yeah. So and so these weights you call that's something that it changes itself. That's called backpropagation. And so what you do is you have for example, I'll give the example of reinforcement learning. I give the example for my thesis, and that was it's an environment of a traffic. So you have a traffic intersection. You have cars coming from all ways, and so the AI is actually controlling the traffic light based on legal limits. So it can't like put green on both sides. You can just tell them to switch or whatever. And so what he does, he tries some stuff, and at first, so you let it run for like ages and decennia with random cars coming, and he tries some stuff, and so he doesn't know if it was good or bad that it switched from green to reds. He doesn't know it because you don't have label data, but you have the result is how many cars went through this intersection for 1 hour, something. And so that's the result. And if the result is good, then it will look at this result, say, the AI will say like, how did I get to this result? And it's like you've probably seen a picture of like a dot and then like dots and then again a dot. So that's input, output, and all the fields in between. So it gets the output and it says like, okay, I used like this line and this line to get to my output. So I'll increase these lines because they were good. And all the lines that said, no, you didn't have to switch, they were bad, so I'll decrease them.
Yeah.
And so that's how you get like these weights or this like how thick a line you have.
Yeah.
And so after a while you see these correlations of like, oh, apparently how many cars were in this intersection was a very good indicator of when to switch. So this line from the amount of cars to the output is a very thick line. And so that's how you get these thick and these thin lines. That's how you
I
train
think
this model.
like all this is kind of based upon the human brain, right? Like
Yeah.
neurons that produce a good output will also get a better connection with each other.
Yeah.
So that you get easier to the output.
Yeah.
For example, this is very true for addiction. If I'm smoking a joint, my output will be very happy very fast because my links are very tight and very well established in that sense. And in that way, it's similar for AI. It can correlate or it can make a perception of, okay, my input was this and this was the output that you guys labeled as correct. This connection must be very good. So it enforces its own connection to make this kind of calculations or whatever faster, I think.
Yeah.
It's in easier terms.
Exactly. And so that's the learning phase. So what you do is you train it for so long that after a while it's converges to a point where it thinks like, okay, I think my lines are pretty much what it needs to be. And so then your AI trains, and what a lot of people don't know is that when you use an AI, when you use a model, you're not training it anymore. Just like, oh, this is now the brain. Yeah. It's not changing anymore because we don't want to change its behavior. It's just like, oh, we like this. So then you implement it, and then you start like, oh, okay, now handle all these problems with the lines it made.
You can see it actually like an education, maybe. Like people learn things in school and in high school and in university. And once you're like fully built, you're all the connections, the right connections with information to that one, to that sense, then you start actually fixing the problems. First, you're learning about them. What is a good thing? What is our bad things? Yeah. And then they feed you actually the problems they want you to solve.
Exactly.
So I think for me, I can give maybe a little bit easier example in that sense. I also did something with deep neural networks in my master thesis. And I basically labeled limbs of a mouse. So I would say this is a paw, this is an arm, this is a head, this is a nose. I would label these on these kind of pictures. I would feed it to this deep neural network. And then I would give fresh data that I haven't labeled yet. And I would see how How can it find these kind of limbs and nose and stuff?
Yeah.
And then I can say, oh, I train it well, or I maybe have to retry and train it again. And that's important. That's AI is one thing and algorithms are one thing, but the training is also very important because I don't know if it's now different, but in my case, you could not train it infinite. Like the more you train it, the more difficult it became for the AI to make these good connections.
Yeah. So after a while, after you've trained a long time, the new things become less powerful. Like at first, it learns with a very big margin. Like, oh, if it's right, I'll double this line, and you have these big changes. But then after a while, changes you apply to the line, to these weights, become smaller and smaller. So then like it converges, and sometimes it converges to the wrong, and then you have to like all these. But like I was thinking about your analogy of teaching, and I think that the two models that I know, so your model, that's I don't know, actually I don't
Mine
know
was
the name.
actually like how do you call
Deep
it?
neural network. It's
Image recognition was
image
just
recognition.
was just mine one.
It's that's a bit like going to school and someone's there and he's telling you how to do something. So he's telling you, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And so you're trying, and after a while you're just like, okay, now I take that what you learned to me is the thing to do, and then you'll do that.
That's the algorithm or the set of algorithms.
The brain.
Yeah.
But then the other approach, and that's not the other approach, but one of the other approaches, that's reinforcement learning, is you just like you're just left out in the world, just like, oh, go ahead, do some stuff, and everything you do, you just try, and if you fail at something, we'll judge you. So
Yeah.
we're not teaching you anything, but we'll judge failures and we'll applaud like good behavior. And so then you're like going on your own and you're just like trying new stuff. And the good thing is you don't have to have labeled data, but the bad thing is, of course, probably that it's way more complex to find good behaviors. Because you're like, what if I'm just like as a kid walking on the street? I'm like, I don't know what to do. I could do so many different things. So it's more difficult to find like this one behavior to do.
I think a good analogy for this, so we have the reinforcement learning and the how you say no the labeling and then reinforced learning, but you also have like the solo reinforced learning, I would say. And maybe a good analogy for this one is actually cooking. I think you have all these ingredients, you can put everything together, but it doesn't make a good soup or a good meal. And people say, this was not so good, maybe you should try this.
Yeah.
This was also not so good. And then eventually you kind of get the right taste and the right texture and the right combination of all these different kind of ingredients.
Yeah, so you're trying and you're basing your results on the response of the people judging you. While the other one is just following a cookbook and like reading 1,000 cookbooks and trying to replicate 1,000 cookbooks until you know how to cook.
Yeah.
And those are like two approaches. But I think the generative AI like ChatGPT and like the big breaking technology, they use something else. But I don't know. I haven't researched it. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I can use these analogies first. So an algorithm, I would say, is like a neural connection in our brain. You have one input and you get one output. It does something with that input. It may be related to a memory you have, if I use this analogy, or something else, or it's based upon what it's learned or what it's programmed like.
Yeah. Then
we have a deep neural network, and these might also be called like a weak AI. So basically what this does is like it has many artificial neurons. They all start from one input, and each of these neurons also connects with the next layer of neurons. So every neuron of one layer connects with one neuron of the next layer.
But is that with all AIs?
Maybe, but this is just it converges back to one output. So maybe that's the difference. But basically we have these layers of neurons, and they're all connected with each other on every possibility. And the the connections that are actually producing the good output are getting more weight or
Yeah.
getting stronger.
Yeah.
And that's how a weak AI would get one input and also give one output, like an algorithm, but it is like with hundreds of algorithms in between, actually.
Yeah.
So, for example, my labeling of these mice would be a weak AI. It's just recognition of where limbs are. It cannot use comprehension, or it cannot use the environment to understand what is going on. You just give it one task and it performs one thing for you. Then we have these strong AIs, they would say, and these are like the ChatGPT. It's like models, it's like understanding language, it's making a sensible answer. It's not just, it has to imagine something, you know? That's what a bit with try stuff and get a result.
Yeah.
We cannot envision what such an AI would give us, but we could envision with the mice what the answer would be, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know if there's a lot of difference between them, because I think that all the AIs are the model you explained with like the neurons, and okay, it doesn't have to converge to one point. You can have a lot of inputs and a lot of outputs, and you could have multiple layers all like crossing, and it can be huge. But I think that the models themselves still represent themselves as these connection of neurons that all have weights. The thing is, like, I don't know if it actually thinks for itself. It just finds correlation for things we would never think. Like, oh, what if I have like input 237 and I combine with input 538 by this way, and so this is how it like finds connections, which I think is how our brain also finds connections. And it seems like it's thinking, but I think it's just still like everything is still just sort of a function, sort of an algorithm where you put data in and data comes
definitely
out. That's like you say. I think there's a lot of like extra stuff added to it. Like one big thing that I think they have now is context awareness, which was a big thing that I also researched. Where normally it's very difficult to be aware of context, and that was like this big blockage in AI development.
To put it in easier terms, maybe like you could give it one task, but if you asked another task, it would kind of forget the first task.
Exactly.
Or it would not learn or remember the things you asked or asked of this AI before.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is one of the big breakthroughs for ChatGPT, and it can really encapsulate what you said and asked before, and it can kind of create an idea of what you're searching for.
Yeah, but I think it's more than just history of your own conversation, because I think, and we take it for granted, context of like, what if I say like, oh, what's the, I don't know, like a programming term, like, what's the function to, I don't know, generates blah blah blah, I don't know, whatever. Like, if you could ask this to a function, it would say like, I don't know what you're talking about. Do you mean maybe this? Do you maybe mean this? Do you maybe mean programming language, or do you mean like? It knows about how we formulate simple questions with very little additional information. Like, I'm not talking about like where I live, what I want, but it still can like think like, okay, I think with this information that you gave me, you're talking about programming or you're talking about sports, which is not always the case. And that, I think, and I don't know how they did it, it's not from a history of your previous conversation. It's just like what the most like common ways of asking that question based on that context. And I think like it's not that it knows all the not that it knows exactly what you're thinking, it just knows all the contexts that there are, and it just analyzes all the data that there is, and that's how it can like relate to, like, it seems like it has a context, but I just think it's very 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 big data combined. But like I said, I'm not sure.
In that sense, are humans not similar in that way? When can you say that we can see a context?
Yeah.
Because it's also for us based upon experience most of the time.
Yeah, and
we can understand emotions and context because we've been there before.
Exactly.
And I think it's similar in that sense for AI. That it just trained very well in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it can understand the context based upon what it's trained on.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, it's crazy that it can still like acts as if it understands the context, which I think it doesn't. Like, it doesn't understand anything. It's just like you said. It's just trained on a lot of data.
I'm gonna ask if anybody wants to join.
Okay. Like I said, I'm no expert, so don't come asking your most difficult questions.
No, because I think we have said a lot of things already, and
Yeah.
maybe for other people it's still not yet clear. So I would like to have some input of people that are not very familiar with the topic, and then they can ask some gaps that we maybe. For us, it can be very obvious.
Yeah.
It's just a training
Yeah.
optional
Yeah, sure,
optimization
sure.
model.
Like, we don't know what we're missing because we both know what we're talking about, and sometimes that's the worst thing of a teacher is that it doesn't know what people don't yet know already. It assumes that people know things that you're talking about, which aren't that clear for people. But like I said, I don't feel like I'm that good in a position of explaining this stuff to people.
Oh no.
Because like I'm not that good into it. You should ask it to my bosses and stuff, or just for like archiving things. The stream's alive, yeah.
The stream is, I think, still alive, but yeah, does not look good.
That's old, no?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's alive. Just the camera has broke. Oh no, that's no move.
God. Why?
But like, yeah, if it's still like audio, then I would just want to say like I feel like this shouldn't be in context where I would be cleaning cameras, bro. Oh no, that's no move.
God. Why?
But like, yeah, if it's still like audio, then I would just want to say cutting off. I feel like this shouldn't be maybe cutting off the entire stream already.
Oh.
Context where I would be cleaning cameras, bro. Oh no, that's no move.
God. Oh my God, no. Stream that. Why? I have to end the streaming. Okay. Can't hear. Like nobody's typing. But the screen is frozen.
I think the audio is still live.
Yeah, the audio is, I think, still alive, but
Yeah, I'm not cutting those as well.
yeah, it's good. You're pretty quiet.
Pretty quiet. I'll talk more loud.
No, I find that you talk very loud, like loud enough. But why is the just
yeah, whatever. If
it's just
it doesn't work, it
frozen
doesn't work.
in coding overloaded? Consider turning down.
oh, maybe you should put it to 30 FPS.
But
You have too high res monitors.
that no.
No, I think Discord's busy stuff. So or we do audio only, or we start the stream.
Oh, I cannot.
I think OBS is just frozen now. You'll have to restart, which or we do audio only. Besides.
Difficult decision. What do you think? Do we start a stream?
I'm not having an opinion on this.
Shit.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
I'm just a guest. I'm not the co-host.
Why is it broken?
Maybe you can just do the original to just take the camera video, not stream from Discord. Like not take the entire Discord thing, but just the camera.
That fix it.
I don't know. Can you change anything?
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop it, but there's no other way, right, to fix this.
I don't know. Can you select a different scene?
Yeah, but this is.
But can you like here what? Wasn't there like an option to settings?
This is frozen. Should not be. I think.
Let's ask ChatGPT.
I think we have to restart the stream. I guess.
Just look like a brain. Does it have a name?
Just my display. You can see. Oh, it's really frozen.
Few steps. Start OBS. Yeah, well.
So
Check your computer's resources.
it's so. It's good.
But maybe OBS can't allocate memory. Guy in laws. We'll talk about it after we fix the stream.
Yeah, I guess I have to restart OBS. I'm sorry, everybody. Wait a second. We back?
We're back, baby.
Maybe we actually fixed it. This one.
You be sharing this not play?
No, it's like this. We fixed it. Look, we're back. We're back. We actually fixed it. Okay, awesome.
Our cameras aren't showing. It's not that we're entertaining so much.
Oh, I think it's easy to fix.
Oh,
we fixed it. All right. Anybody wants to join the conversation? I see some questions, and we definitely are getting to them. I think maybe I have history, but it's not really interesting. Maybe we can talk about some questions first. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's fine. And with a big disclaimer, like I'm not an expert in AI, so
no,
like,
you
take it with a grain of salt.
You've made ChatGPT. You're one of the co-creators.
Exactly.
Okay, so first question from Anu. What do you think about AI in law and how it should maybe regulate it? It's a bit broad, maybe the question, or how do you interpret this question?
Yeah, like we have to like have a legal like limits on AI, which Europe is doing. That's typical Europe fashion. They're just like strolling behind because you have like the EU AI Pact or AI Act or whatever, and so they were trying to make this like definitions and like what can and what can't we do and stuff like I don't know what like just a legal definition. And then before they announced it or before they published it, ChatGPT came and everything was outdated, so they had to start again. And I feel like the way this is progressing, that's a common occurrence. That like they'll just like walk behind or like run behind the after the fact him.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say it.
Yeah, the facts.
And so I don't know how to keep up, because like laws, I know nothing about laws, but they take a lot of time. They before everything get approved with like the how do you say it, like the administrative nightmare and
Yeah.
like I don't know how it can keep up with.
By the way, did you have a pizza?
No, I was heating up the oven, but I didn't.
Forget. No, it's okay.
I'll do it later.
So I think for me, maybe she clarified it a bit. More specifically related to artists and plagiarism and books. That's a good one.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
think that's very difficult because even like with persons, it can be like plagiarism. I've heard about AI mimicking famous persons and like distributing videos about famous persons doing certain stuff
Yeah.
to people.
So that's first topic,
I
like
think-
fake news, right?
Yeah, also like kind of porn related, I would say.
Yeah, but that's still in concept of fake news, like doing as if you're someone else, doing
Yeah.
as if someone else is doing something, saying something,
Impersonating.
impersonating.
Definitely there have to be some laws there, but I'm not sure how like deepfakes are a thing for a long time already, right? Like
Yeah, but
I
they're getting
remember
better and
Donald
better,
Trump
yeah.
deepfakes about
Yeah.
I don't know, saying stupid shit like he always does, but even
Yeah.
more stupid.
I know, but like I'm like, what can you do about it? Like, what if you write a law like don't do this? Like, it's so easy to just like let it generate, which, for example, was a big problem in this. I don't know how it's called. It's also from OpenAI, the AI that makes images, right? The
Creates
first
these images
the first
combined.
thing people did when it was like unfiltered, like released unfiltered, was make child porn from it because it can generate anything. It can also generate fucked up stuff. Like,
Okay, I'm gonna put this out there, but would you not rather have fake child porn than actually child porn?
I think,
It's kind of weird to say it, but
yeah, maybe
because
we
you
should.
said this, I came to this conclusion.
I'm against it, fake or real, and I think we should not talk about this, especially when you don't want to get canceled on YouTube.
No, but it's a real topic. Like
Yeah, like
I think for
racism
people
or
that
something.
I think for people that are not well in the mind, I would say, I would rather let them use fake things than real things.
No, but
Because
yeah,
in the real thing, a real human gets involved or a real child gets involved.
yeah, I know, but the fake thing is still feeding their fetish, and after a while, they won't get satisfied with the
It's like a
fake thing.
prostitute, maybe, in that sense, for me. Like, it's not a real thing, but it keeps the weirdos away from
Yeah, but
doing more stuff.
yeah, no, because like that's like feeding people that are doing something illegal by doing something like, oh, but this is better because you're not hurting someone. I think that's wrong. I
But you
don't know.
also have to be, like, critical and honest with yourself. These people do exist, and we're not really
Yeah, but do you,
fixing it, you know?
like I'm not sure.
How are you gonna fix it?
I'm not shrink, but do you think that feeding their addiction or feeding their fucked up thing is gonna help it? Like,
I would
I don't know.
rather have them on something virtually than something real. That,
well, if that's the only two options, yeah, like
No,
we do not
I
say.
don't
but
say
think
it's the only two options, but I would say these ones are more realistic for the near future.
Yeah, but I still don't think we should be feeding. We should be like allowing these people to do fucked up kind of shits. Like it should be, and yeah, I don't know. Like, do you have to just make it a taboo and shun them? And I don't know. I don't know how to handle it. It's like
But that does not help.
I know that does not help, but I think
Making something
but I
taboo
think
is one
allowing
of the
them
worst.
to do something like that is even worse than a taboo. I think to feed it because then they'll get used to it. They'll say like, oh, maybe I'm not so wrong. Maybe I should be allowed to do this, and then they go out in the world. You know,
But it,
I don't have a question and an answer, and I don't think this is very relevant to the thing.
no, it's true.
Because this is just like how
I know you're
time goes.
kind of on edge about these topics. But as I will end this topic
Yeah.
here, I just want to give you like the beginning. There was internet when the internet started, and people were, oh look, we can do everything. And at some point, it got regulated. What did people do? They just made the dark web. And that's how I feel about a lot of these topics. Like, you can try to hide it, you can shame it, you can make it taboo, but that will not make them go away.
But then why have any laws? If you say like the moment you ban something,
No,
people
I
will
think
do
it should be
illegally.
illegal. Like even like AI, child porn. I don't think we should tolerate it, but I don't also think I think it's a better of the worst solution, you know, for me. But
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, like
we'll end it. Or do you want to have a
no,
closing statement on
no, 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 no.
that?
It's like
Okay,
what's
so
like
for
yeah,
regulations
whatever.
part, maybe there have to be some clear rules, but how would we do it? Like, what is a practical way of implementing laws to catch AIs that are being used in a bad way? Like,
There is none. Like you can you like the moment you make because AI like in general that's before generative, like detecting what was generated by an AI was pretty easy with an AI, but now the AIs are advancing so fast that the moment you have your AI ready, there's just another AI that fixes it, right? So I think it's like the same thing as when calculators were invented, that people at first said like, oh, you can't use it on an exam because that's cheating. But then like, okay, but everyone always will use a calculator everywhere that's needed. So why can't you just use it, right? It's I think it's more that we have to learn how to work with it with it. But
but that's that. Let me just say
yeah,
that's a bit naive. No,
in what sense?
expecting people to just use it for good.
And what's using it for bad? And like, what do you see as
Yeah,
a bad?
like all the things we talked
Yeah,
about
no, but yeah,
before.
that's on the like that's the provider of the AI has to do that, right? The provider of
But
the AI, the person.
anybody, in theory, can make an AI. No,
That's true. Anyone can make an AI, but
so what
like
would stop a
anyone can make a
bad
bomb.
person from making?
Yeah, but anyone can make a bomb and explode a building, right? It's not why like it should still be legal. That
No, no, I'm with you that it
like
should
anyone
be
can make a
regulated,
virus.
but first, I don't think we have a good way of how to regulate it.
Mm-hmm.
Second, even if we have a manner of regulating it, there still will be people that will be doing it, and that's just how the world works. We cannot say everybody is gonna follow this rule or everybody is gonna use it for good.
No, I know, but I don't think regulations are there for 100% inclusivity. It's there for what's correct, what's normal, and okay, there will always be
Yeah,
people
okay.
that don't follow the law, and like I don't know what to do about that. That's
So I think a
just the same
good
as
one,
drugs.
maybe for this one, and I found it yesterday. It's kind of like an explainable AI. I don't know the terms where they come from, but I just found it with ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
and those are AIs being designed to analyze and make sense of AI that we don't understand. So maybe these can be like kind of policing AIs, you know?
Yeah, but like I said,
AIs
the
that can,
moment you police something, there will be just a smarter AI outsmarting them. Like it's just like
but
an arms race.
that's everywhere in life. That's even in biology, like wapenwedloop. It's a thing. Just if one species finds an advantage, then the other species will get suppressed, and it will come up with a new advantage that suppress the other species again.
Yeah, so then like it just goes so fast that I think it's like I don't know. I
But it's like it's maybe like antivirus. We can maybe use it as an analogy.
yeah,
Your old antivirus will not catch the newest viruses,
but
but
we'll
it will
still
still
catch all the
block a
ones.
lot
Yeah,
of them, right?
yeah.
So I
No,
think
that's true.
maybe that's one of the ways that we could manage the amount of bad AIs that would be around there.
And then so that's like the bad stuff. But then what about like good AI? So AI is doing nothing wrong, but just generating contents that would seem like not
Okay,
like plagiarizing, but like
wait. Maybe I used the wrong term. I don't think we can say good or bad AIs, but because they just do what we ask at this point, like right?
yeah. But like
So
AIs
good
that
people or bad people
no,
making
but
use of.
AIs that are not possible, like that are not supposed to generate stuff that's racist or illegal or
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
Like
Okay. But just to be clear, the AI is not really the one doing the things.
yeah, I know. Okay, so
No,
but
no.
that's
But
one thing.
for the people
Yeah,
out there.
okay. Yeah.
No, but it's
I know,
difficult.
yeah.
It's a nuanciation that I think is
But so
important.
that's one thing. That's like illegal stuff. But then what about the non-illegal stuff? That's still like plagiarizing, like writing, like a student that just like, oh, I need to write an essay, tick, 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 enter, and there's an entire essay. Like, is that like what can we do about that?
In a sense, it's not plagiarism, right?
It's
Because
not
it's something
plagiarism.
new.
Yeah, it's something.
But I can see a case where like you take art and but it's the same with NFTs, right? Like it's something branded or like this you cannot copy, but actually like everybody can copy an NFT. It's not unique, but the signature that's on the NFT
Yeah.
makes it unique.
Yeah, like I think
Do you see the
blockchaining
yeah.
is a valid way to go in a lot of different things. But like blockchain has to start somewhere. If you're alone offline in your room and you have to make an essay and you just generate it with an AI and you start the blockchain with that, like there's no way it knows. You understand? Like in no way it knows that you wrote it or you did. Right?
Maybe
So,
we can make maybe there is a possibility, but we have not yet discovered that for to link blockchain with AI output.
yeah, but like you said, like there will just be someone that just doesn't do that. That just doesn't
Yeah, but then
use
it's
the
not
blockchain stuff.
then it's not certified, you know?
Yeah, but like what? So then you cannot even copy paste stuff from online. Like you can just like there's no like
Where
with
is the
images and stuff.
where is
There's
the
blockchain in
threshold?
the image, but with texts you can never blockchain a text because it's like
Why not? You can make it as
because
an
you can
image
just
and text, no?
yeah, but you can just write it like overtype it
With a
or
different font.
yeah, or just I don't know, read it and write it. You know, right? Like
But there are
you can certify something that's written by an AI if you want it to be like, oh, this is my stuff, this is written by my AI. I'll link a blockchain to it, and this is now from my AI. But the other way around, you cannot say something like, oh, this doesn't have a blockchain, so it's not from AI. That doesn't work. It's a one-way direction, right? So I think we just have to get used to it that from now on, all contents can be generated by AI. And then we'll slowly start creeping to a meaning crisis where we have nothing else to do because everything can be by
yeah. So eventually like originality or like something that we made would be very difficult to maintain as ours, I think.
Well, how do you mean maintain as ours?
Like for example, if you have a painting, Mona Lisa, whatever,
Mhm.
the original is in real life and that's the original. But once it's on the internet, it can go anywhere, right? It can be
Yeah.
used for images, it can used to be for paper or whatever.
Yeah.
For somebody learning to make a painting, or it can generate a new painting out of a style that's used on the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
But then there is no like how do you say it ownership of something anymore.
But
In that sense.
isn't that always have like since pictures? That's always the case. Like someone could like even before someone could paint the Mona Lisa, and then 20 students come next to it and try to paint something that looks like it's like the
But the strokes and the thickness of the paint and stuff all differs, right? And I think
I
that
don't
make
know,
it
like maybe student and teacher have the same strokes and I think like, but like you say, maybe technicality wouldn't be like maybe if you're painting yourself, it would be, but anything virtual, technicality wouldn't be any difference. It's just like originality, but you're not competing with other people. You're also competing with AI, but that doesn't make it useless. Like it's just the same as like if you're drawing something and someone else comes with another drawing, if it's made by him or by an AI, whatever, that's still like competition to your work, no?
no, it's true.
So I don't know. If it's just for creativity, I don't know. But it's more like how can you assign someone to do something, and should things still be assignable? Like should I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult because like everything that's online can just be used in an AI to make maybe a better version or a cooler version or whatever.
A
So
different version,
or a
like
different version.
that's the same with writers. If you write something and you send it to a pro writer and you say like make it cooler or better or different, then he can do it, right? So that's always been the case. It's just that now it's not a person; it's an AI doing it in 1 second, and it's doing it infinitely.
Yeah, you can do it infinite times on the amount of time we would have in a lifetime. Like,
Yeah, so I
you can
think
do a lot of things now.
yeah, but like if you compare like 7 billion people or 8 billion people, you can also make more paintings than you would ever would. So it's just you have to paint for your own sake and for doing like this is my painting, and that's still
Yeah, but
possible.
that's a big problem for artists, no?
No, because then if you make arts like NFTs, you can just put a blockchain on it and then it's yours. And then if any AI makes it, you say like, oh, but I have the original because here's my blockchain.
Yeah.
The other way around, it doesn't work. If you say to someone like paint something, and I'll only give you like credits if you paint something, then he can generate
I
it from
think
AI. And
what we can learn from this topic is that online verification will be a very important subject for the future on.
Yeah,
we cannot trust anything anymore in that sense because it can all be generated by AI.
Exactly, and I
if
think
you get an email, it can be fully written by AI.
Yeah, but
and I've known people. Wrong? No, it's not wrong, but it can be. How do you say? I saw this yesterday that ChatGPT has actually bias programmed within, and this comes back to how we were talking before, that you train an AI based on human feedback. So a human programmed the AI, a human gave feedback on the AI's output. That includes some bias. So out of the study that came, it said that the ChatGPT was actually like a leftist bit. It was not centrist. So anything that it writes actually incorporates a certain, how do you say it, undertone in it.
I know, but
and I think that's difficult. I don't say it's a big problem, but I think it's important to realize that all AIs for now stem from humans. We have biases, and I don't think it's healthy to put these biases into an AI that generates a lot of output.
That implies that you haven't, that it's possible to be unbiased by anything. Like, if you would ask a coworker or an assistant to write a mail and he would be left or right, your mail would also be like.
No, but I think if an AI writes it, it should be, right? Otherwise,
what is even like non-biased? Like, aren't we all just like? Isn't everything created by biases, by education?
There was like an example, and it asked ChatGPT, "What is a good scientist?" ChatGPT answered, or give me a function for a good scientist, I think. And ChatGPT answered white male in his answer.
Yeah,
do you think that's a good answer?
No, that's a problem, but that's something else. That's not a bias. That's racism. And
bias, racism, it's all
okay. But the most difficult thing about ChatGPT, and before launching it was more difficult to filter out what it cannot say than to make the model. Like, the model by in itself with everything is it's way more easy to make than all the filters it had to they had to program all kinds of filter afterwards to let it not do something racist or not do something wrong, and those are human made. But
there are still workarounds around these filters. I know
because there's still people that make filters manually, because you can't have it unfiltered. Then what's your goal for an AI? Like, I feel like if you're just trying it to say something racist, for me it's a tool. Like, I see, like, okay, generate something for me, then I, with my own opinions, will base what I find of this opinion. If it's wrong, if it doesn't, like, if I don't associate with that opinion, I'll just not use it, right? It's more of a function, and I get it that it's not unbiased, but I think it can't be. Like, it's so, like, how would you implement something that's based on you?
Maybe like
just based on everything that's on the internet. Everything that's on the internet is just personified in ChatGPT. Like, of course there are biases on the internet, there are racism and whatever. So
okay, maybe it's not bad that it has biases, but I think we should be aware, at least when it comes to an AI, that we know what kind of biases it has.
Yeah, and their laws will be very important to say, like, from which points it's a bias that's okay, and from which points it's racism, or from which, like,
that bias for me in an extreme form is racism.
Like, that's like, look at politics. You can be like fully left and not be racist, but then like go 1 inch more left and suddenly you're a racist. I don't know where the line is. That's lost for me. That's just someone, like, sometimes I hear these statements from our I don't know, from left sides, and I think, like, I don't know.
I think that's very difficult indeed, because even now, without AIs, we are struggling to identify what's racist and what's not.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're looking at AI as a function to that's the same as like self-driving cars. Like people expect self-driving like a, a person can kill 1,000 people and it's like oh human error, and AI kills one people and everyone's like fuck this is a problem. That's like I don't know what you're expecting of it. That it's like 100% ideal behavior. I think that's not really
No, but I think that's kind of what people expected now in the beginning. Like, oh, this is computer, it's gonna be totally unbiased, and I think that's where laws maybe or like disclaimers are maybe very necessary for AIs. That we
Yeah.
can say, okay, this AI is trained in this way by this person or by this team on this kind of data, and like you said, you should always verify the output that you get from an AI, but there will come a point when that would not be the case.
Of
Like
course, yeah.
it's
And
gonna
then
be automated. It's gonna be a class teaching you an AI's teacher
like
teaching
schools and
you.
stuff. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it can go really far, and I think that's why it's very important that we
That's this,
this disclaimer. I don't know how we
yeah, like a legal framework.
like we can't fix it really. Like there's always gonna be biases,
Well,
even
it'll always be better.
even if an AI trains an AI trains an AI, there will still be biases from the first AI.
Yeah, but that's like that's having a biased teacher. That's like, oh yeah, that sucks, but what can you do about it? Like AIs will be less biased than people, I think. Like maybe not now, but when the first like popular AI stuff, like they're now OpenAI is saying that now the ChatGPT 4 is already as good as this one is to a general function. ChatGPT 4 is to ChatGPT 3. So I think we'll progress to a point where it'll be less biased than people, and then it's just up to us and up to laws and up to everyone to decide like where do we draw the line, like this is acceptable, and where do we draw the line, like oh fuck, or there's a program that's managing the education of our kids, and this program isn't perfect.
So maybe each AI should have like a self-governing system in place. Like if it produces an output that is way out of line, it will get flagged, and this AI has to be remodeled or
Yeah, or like
retrained.
the opposite way around, like cannot do a limitation on any function, but just like the moment you're using it in school, then it has to pass certain criteria with like big questions versus answers
Yeah,
to
but
check its.
like there are a million things you can ask, and I don't
Yeah, but like
deem it reasonable unless a good AI or like an approved AI questions these new AIs. That I can see that going, but for a human to go about each answer or each thing,
not about each answer, but it could be like some form of I don't know,
yeah,
something.
but ChatGPT is like out for half a year now or something, and people have brute forced it like crazy. Like try to get. I've seen things like they set in place a reward system for ChatGPT, and it has to gain these tokens that it somehow says, and it gave a wrong answer, they would take away tokens, and so this ChatGPT started to think about this token system, but it was totally fictive, but
Yeah,
they could learn this or they could get these answers out of it behind the filter layer. So
yeah, I know, but because
there's
the
like
filter is
no,
now very crude. It's like the first popular edition.
yeah,
I
but
think
how
that,
can you like how can you make such a filter that blocks all the bad things? Like it's
so
like
yeah, well,
before, like we were talking, like where do you draw the line? What is bad? What is
well,
good?
I think that's like some kind of big like test. Maybe that's even testing AI, like you said, like some governing AI, and then also like just release it and you say like the moments there's one wrong output, you say it and it'll get updated, and that's like I don't know with everything, no. And after all, like Google now, like all the responses in Google are like you'll never find some fucked up stuff on Google now. And it's that's also just like filters and algorithms and whatever. So I think at a point we'll reach that. Yeah, and then also I don't think if you're using it for example school that you should be brute forcing it. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I think we should because children cannot imagine what they're gonna ask.
Yeah,
They
that's
can
true.
ask really anything, and that's where it gets scary for me. It's when we let an AI teach children things. 99.999% it will always be good, but that's one case where it will be bad, it can be really bad.
Okay, yeah, but
And that's a point from the out. It's the same point.
I had a teacher that punched kids in my third primary school. Like that's also fucked up.
It's the same argument that you had with autonomous vehicles, right? Like autonomous vehicles. Let's be real, they're fucking amazing in the sense that people are really dumb. Like, cannot imagine how many car accidents there are in a year. I think it's I don't know, not the leading cause, but I think one of the top 5 leading causes for people to die
in non-natural ways. Yeah, I think so.
And it's really amazing or really intriguing that people get so upset about this one death indeed. From oh look, this Tesla, he rode right into a truck, and it could not analyze this truck, but.
Yeah, but I think that's because people want justice, you know? If someone drives over someone and kills someone, they're like, okay, but now this person is locked up and isn't driving anymore, and so that's justice. And the AI can like do it, nobody cares, nobody's sanctioned, and you can tomorrow do it with someone else. Like, it's still a life that we're talking about, and these people won't be happy that every car is built with a software that's killed one of their relatives. I don't know, that's like, I understand it, I just don't know how to fix it. The bias in people's minds.
I was just imagining now kids growing up with an AI teacher. How would they look like?
How they not so different than us? Like I
think
probably even better than us. That's personalized information. They have a question. They don't have to wait for the teacher to come and then say, "Oh, I don't know. Look at page 57." It can just generate like, "Oh, look at this. If you don't understand, so here's a different approach. Here's another different approach." Like. There are so many courses that I was not good at because of my teacher, and that's not like blaming my teacher for everything, but like, and then afterwards in college, I got a better teacher, and I was like, oh damn, now I understand like these problems, and yeah, of course, there is still like there should still be like human interaction and stuff. I'm not like I'm not for purely having an AI
no.
homeschool.
I was not talking about
I think that like there's a lot of kids that suffer because their approach isn't the approach that the teacher is giving them. While AI, I think, and that's like government AI, like you said, not like the free version, like you do anything, know anything, maybe some bad response AI, just like a governed smart AI that only knows about school stuff, doesn't know about fucked up stuff, you know. If this can teach kids, like, or as an assistant to a teacher, I think that'd be great. And that's that's one of the projects we're working on now is.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. We actually did not get through the introduction. We kind of zoomed away from it instantly.
Exactly.
So let's maybe go back to what you're actually doing. So you work at Rollo. It's a data-driven expert in AI and software. I saw in this last 10 seconds I did research.
Exactly.
So what do you actually do? Because it's linked actually to this kind of thing, right? It's not a practical example of where it might go in the schools.
Well, it would be, but right now we see like the AIs we use is purely functional, not ethical. Like maybe it does this wrong, that wrong.
But maybe you can picture a broader picture.
Yeah. So our customers are people, or like I say it, like businesses that have big data which they don't do anything, or don't do enough with. And so we have like
hospitals or schools,
like,
or
you would be amazed at how few companies actually do the things they can do, like see the insights they have.
I see it. I know it for sure in the process industry where I work.
Yeah, like we have like bakeries.
There is zero AI used there.
Yeah, I know exactly. And so we have like these 3 things. So the first thing is we need to like make this data available. So most often they don't even have a good content management system, or like sort of a website for internal people to like where are our stocks going, what was the price for this, how many did we sold for that, I don't know what. And so we offer that as a service. So we have built a system like that.
You maintain a website and stuff, you mean?
Yeah, well, we don't maintain it. We build
because we say as a service.
Yeah, but we offer it as a service because it communicates with like this core, process that we built, where all the data comes through. Like every order, everything, we know everything that's going on.
So you have the database, it gets processed by your AI,
exactly,
and then it feeds into a website that portrays the results.
Well, not really like that. So for now, it's like the first step isn't with AI. It's just building a system that allows people to do anything they want to, and at the same time, we have a system where we can monitor anything. We can see how many orders there are. We don't have to like scan some guy's paper that noted down, oh yeah, 25 pieces of this to this customer. Like we have this centralized. So that's the first thing. That's digitalization. And the second thing is automation, and that's also not with AI, or like sometimes it is, but that's also more like, okay, how can we make your company more efficient and do stuff automatically so that we don't have to
That's a bit what I do.
so don't have to put any more time into the stuff you do every day. There shouldn't be a guy mailing a thing every day, right? And then the third thing, and that's where it gets interesting, but that's only after we've achieved 1 and 2. The third thing is allowing like using AI on this big model, different AI. Some AI for analyzing your output, some AI for analyzing your stock usage, whatever. And that's called insights. And then AI will help us get insights about how we can like how you can be more efficient. But like everything is at the
kind of fills the gaps where it thinks it lacks efficiency.
Exactly. There are things like, oh, wait, like
this can be on different domains, like information streams, working procedures, interactions with people.
Exactly, but
finding new customers.
It starts from very simple things like, hey man, like every Monday you order way too much of this stuff that you don't need. Like, but that's something a human can do. But then there's way more complicated stuff like a relationship, like, oh, but if that's part of your company that's located there is affected by this and that and this and way too many factors that nobody will ever think about. Yeah. That's how we will then optimize. And then like, so that's the 3 things. That's the main function of our business. But then we also use AI for like small stuff like, oh, here is you have some pictures and there's someone's full-time job to just write down what's on the picture, like number plates and stuff. Like, okay, we'll just make a image recognition AI.
It's training, or what is it doing then?
Yeah, well, no, it's just processing. It's just getting information out of this picture. Sometimes we train our own models with the pictures we have. Sometimes we take already trained models and we use them. But so we're currently like this like 1 year maybe. Like maybe a bit longer, so we're very, very young.
Yeah.
And very young company. So we're still building the core. So we're still building the thing that like manages all the information. So there's constantly new features being added.
So you're still in the first stage then, or what?
But like depending on the customer. So some customers want very complex stuff with like, oh, we want to send automatic invoices and it should be like this and that, and which automatically sent to the bookholder and so we're adding to the core. So the core exists and it's operational, and with some companies we're already in different stages where we do some analysis and use some AI. But in a lot of other companies we're still building this core. And so but once this core is ready, it's a plug and play core. So then another company comes and says like, oh, I need facturation, I need a planner agenda, I need a stock management system, I need a mailing system. We just do tick 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 tick. We release it, the customer is happy, we get all the information, and then the customer receives from us like, oh,
that's interesting. You are maintaining this framework for their data and stuff.
Exactly, because a lot of times they do it with like
a good business model, because they always have to get through you then to get their data. It's kind of weird, no?
Well,
to be honest,
the server is accessible by them, right? But it's a service. They
provide the platform for the data to be readable, or how you would say, like comprehensible,
just manageable. Like they manage the data. Like it's not that we're like, oh, we're stealing your data.
No,
they pay us to do it. The companies want us to get some insights.
You structure it, but you can only release a structured data if people come to you. If they want to get the structured data from the database, they have to do it themselves, right?
But like we built the database, we built the thing, we built the website.
You make the servers and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't like mechanically build a server, right? We just
no. That's what I think. Like there is data available for. They can surpass you, or they can like.
But then
they have to analyze it themselves, and that would take your work doing again. And now you're placing yourself in between
the
company, you, and then the new company that wants to achieve something for the old, for the
No,
first
sometimes it's just the company doing something for themselves, right? It's just like,
yeah, that's initially, but I was now thinking about the interesting
Like
thing about the business model is that you are always in between the comprehension of their data. Another company cannot comprehend the big data sets without you guys in between.
Maybe I said it wrong. The core that we manage, it's not from all the companies going to one core.
No,
it's one core per company.
Yeah.
So like it's just as if they would go to like this, I don't know what's the website's host called, like build your own website, stuff like that, right? They also manage the data. It's a service that they subscribe to, and then they can do anything they want.
It's interesting because it's a reoccurring service. You can always.
So we don't deliver.
They have to keep you as a link because otherwise their data would be useless again.
Yeah. Otherwise the server would just stop.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a good model.
But like any website hosting thing works.
Yeah, it's similar, but this is like on large data sets. It makes very intensive if anybody else wants to surpass you.
Yeah, but like there is no, like, we're not trying to be in between some process. It's like they're not surpassing us, they're just using us. We're providing.
But I'm seeing it now because I'm in a similar world as a consultancy. Like you place yourself in between what the company has and what the company needs, and you place yourself in between to make the data more approachable, more understandable.
Like, we built the data and everything. So,
well, the data is there, right? It's in the service.
No, like for now, like some people just have the data is just like a big ass like form with just papers. Like we just say like, oh, do you want to optimize? Do you want to digitalize? Yeah, then we'll build everything, and everyone that wants to communicate and then use it can allow them. But it's not.
Yeah, we're straying a bit too much from the topic. Exactly. I'm sorry. I was just interested in that because it's a good business model. I think use it like this.
Yeah, I think.
I'm not saying you're the bad guy. I'm just saying it's a good business model.
Yeah. Like we do too.
But maybe you can explain more about the grading thing you were talking about the other day.
So one of our customers is a application called FeedForm, and so that's a way for teachers to manage their students' evaluations and just like school management system. So you have like these grades, it has these students and these students. Like each test you have, like we don't generate anything. The teacher just says like, okay, this test is there, and you have some European guidelines you have to achieve for each test. I don't know if it's Belgian or European, but it's called a learning goal. So they say like, oh, we have this test that applies to this learning goal. So then Europe or Belgium is happy, and then they manage their grades, and so they can say like, oh, this student has. They can mark the student's points, and then so that's built.
So kind of makes a report or something.
Yeah. So, but it makes reports. It made like big insights. It made graphs for each student. Like, oh, this student, you're scoring a bit worse in. I don't know, maths, but a bit better than this, or you're on a positive curve, because the teachers say like it's pretty like repetitive stuff if you have to type it for each student. Like, oh yeah, first you have to look at, okay, what was your grade last year? What's your grade now? Okay, is it better than not? Okay, oh, you're progressing, but you're still not there. Like this. So that's of course a good way to use AI, and so that's where one of the
things. Does it give feedback also, like how it could improve? For example, algebra, if it's getting harder or something?
So the goal of that project in the long run, so that's the insight, the third thing we're now starting, is the generating insight. For example, one of the goals is that they're, how do you say, it's like sometimes if you fail a course, then during the spring break, you have to work on that course, the vakantietag, it's called. And so, but normally it's like, you failed French, here's like this big course, like, do everything French again, like, and you have to do everything in your course.
Do everything French.
Yeah, no, but I mean, or maths, like do everything. But maybe you just failed integrals, or maybe you just failed passé composé or something. So so we would like in
bad memories. Passé composé.
Exactly, like I've banned this from my memory. we would generate stuff that would then be, the goal is to generate one of these spring break assignments to be more personal, to be like, oh, you failed integrals, so now you're going to work on integrals and not on, like, I don't know, additives or something.
Yeah. On the whole algebra book, for example.
And then, well, that will, like, that's the first thing, and then afterwards,
So
be like,
do teachers have to input their tests or something, or how does it work?
Yeah, so
They
this
just give the grades, but for example, if it's an open question, it should know what kind of answer the student gave, or how is it going to be?
so the teachers first make the tests, and per question, they don't say what the question was. They can say, but it doesn't have to. Just relates to one of the learning goals. So, like, oh, this question relates about a student learns to work with integrals and has a good understanding of it. A student learns to apply passé composé in a good sentence or something. And these are learning goals set up by, I think, Belgium or Europe. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they give out then, and then you have to mark it, and then you see what learning goals you failed and what you. So, and then, well, the possibilities of, like, improving on that are.
But for more like detailed feedback, it would be necessary that the AI also understand the question and the context and the answer is given there, right? Or
No, because if you fail the question, it knows from your learning goals, oh, you failed integrals, and which also makes it scalable because not all schools have the same questions, but all schools do have the same learning goals. Oh, you failed a learning goal about learning to apply integrals.
Yeah, but for maths it's maybe easier. But for example, history or something like, can it understand the context of what the student comprehends and where it lacks comprehension? For example, you say if it fails integrals, it doesn't have to learn the whole mathematics again. It just has to learn integrals.
Yeah.
Does this also apply for like more contextual kind of answers, like, oh, he understand that the Civil War was then, but he didn't get the link with the Allies coming from there or something? Or
like,
how do I see that?
Like, for now, it's not that like because you,
end goal,
like,
right?
Otherwise your summer break thing would just be like, where did the Allies come from? Like, it shouldn't be too specific. But still, you have these learning goals, but you can also set up your own learning goals, which then you could pass, like, say, like, oh, you failed, like, for example, history. Maybe there's not something in the curriculum that says exactly what you have to learn. Maybe it's the Civil War, maybe it's some other war or whatever. Then you can divide, like, patch your own learning goals, and then the AI knows, okay, it failed this learning goal, and purely on that learning goal, it will generate new things. So it won't generate the response of your question.
Okay.
I don't know. That's not.
I think we can add Zoe because she's also a teacher, and I don't know if she's available. But I think she has some questions because she's also in the waiting room.
But I was also seeing, and we can ask her answer her questions, but just like.
Yeah, the other question I think we handled from Laura, how was with the racist thing. I think it's the bias that we this was thing. What? But
the job markets. Don't study programming. That'll go away in 5 years. And I don't know.
I think so. Obviously, tasks that are repetitive are gonna be repetitive. I think that's the first wave of AI in production.
I thought it at first too, but I don't know. Like, I think the very first task that's gonna be deleted is actually programming, because it just has so much code. It parsed every public code from GitHub, all the code on the internet available, and it knows it. So now I program with Copilot. It's like the open AI thing. Collaborate with GitHub, and your AI, what you said, complex or something, told me earlier.
It's also somebody very interesting.
Monday, you told me about this OpenAI model, complex or something.
Codex.
Codex is used for,
actually, it's based upon Chat GPT-3.
Yeah, so that's also from OpenAI, but it like GPT-3 is super learned in codes. So now I can just say, like, build me this, and it'll generate entire files of codes that work. Like, I think programmers, because there's so much availability of codes, that it's so quickly it's just gonna be thinking about design,
Yeah, no, go on, sorry.
about design of the project, but not about coding itself. So you have to know, okay, what interacts with what and how should this behave, but not like what's code. Code's gonna be like gone in 5 or 10 years.
So you think coding will be the first jobs to be gone?
Yeah, well, the first like big sector, because there are now people that just like write over from Excel to Words. Those jobs are of
So
course
how
gonna
so you think it's more gonna be like people have an idea, they try to word this idea as best as possible into the AI, and it writes code for it,
yeah, of course,
like
like
we
soon
do with ChatGPT.
soon we'll just in full text explain what a program should be doing. Maybe not in text, maybe even with like a tool that like visualize all the blocks, and then like because also it takes care of so much stuff that programmers don't do from the first time, like authentication, security, all these stuff, like making your code very robust, very scalable. All these stuff it knows and it does it automatically. So I don't know. I think like just purely developing, I think that's gonna go away pretty. You'll just have a tool to which to make programs, because like program makers will still be there, but they don't have to know the code. I think it'll just be like some drag and drop stuff.
Okay. I'll add Zoe, and if she wants to talk, she can talk. Hugo, I don't know if you also want to pitch in for the conversation. You're always welcome. But otherwise, I would recommend just follow through YouTube. Yeah, just a little intermezzo. Yeah, I'll just add him. He can listen here also. So, what's your question already? Yeah, I answered to your question. When we were talking actually about it, like the ways of which AI would integrate into the workforce, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Like,
so you think first coding is gonna be replaced, and then you think the repetitive jobs, or how do you?
So what do you mean by repetitive jobs?
Like for me, like you said, somebody that has to fill in Excel files or has to grade people the same way each time, kind of repetitive tasks that can always be done.
Yeah, but those
faster.
Like if a job was also replaceable by a coding function, like just a program, then I don't see it being replaced by AI. It's just a job that was obsolete in the first place. You know? Like filling in Excel, there are people that are still filling in Excel from pictures. Like this can be done by a program. So yeah, of course these will be the first to go, but they can already go because you can just
for
write
example,
a program.
people that work in factories, I think that's a very sensitive topic, because I work with them and they are pretty hesitant of any new changes in the workforce, because they realize at some point they will get replaced by AI. And before I said that in the process industry there's not implementation of AI. Actually wrong of me. I said it deliberately, but there is AI in the process industry, but it's chosen by the people there to not turn it on, because they don't want it to actually manage the process, because they believe that it might take over their job at some point if it gets too good.
But are these like mechanical stuff, like moving robots and stuff, or
no, it's like we have a control system that manages the process, and it can guide the process, open valves, open pump, steer pumps. But people are actually hesitant to use it because they think if we use it too much, then our job becomes meaningless, you know?
But also, like,
and I think that's what is gonna change at first. That's what I mean by repetitive tasks. Like, it's not conceptualizing a new thing. It's managing something that you already know, and doing it in the same way each time to minimize the risk or the adverse effects that can happen. I think those jobs will go out first. If I'm being honest, I'm not promoting my job right now, because my customers are these people right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that the moment there's something mechanical about it that isn't managed by something.
The auto industry is pretty mechanical, I think.
Yeah, but like
AI driven.
if there's something to be like if a robot has to be made to do it, then it'll take some more years because you have to develop this robot. While things purely software can go within like
No, but you can
within
have
like
like a
months.
robot that has like a I don't know how you say it, a loss item, like
Yeah, yeah.
you
Then you
can
have to
program it
develop
in
it.
different ways. Like that's how cars are being made. You have like these arms around
Mhm.
these cars, and they do all
Yeah,
lasting and screwing things.
yeah.
And if you make a new car, you just program the arms to move in a different way.
Mhm.
I think that already exists at this point, and I think a lot of people already lost their job because of these
Yeah.
AIs.
Well, I think you're right. But the like everything that's like physically moving has its limitations, and if it's not yet present, it has to be built. But in the cases that it's already present and you just have to like program it to work better, I believe it's gonna go soon. But then, like for example, factory workers or process engineers or stuff like that, like still need because the AI doesn't have they don't offer a guarantee that it works. Like they don't offer like a 99.99% guarantee. So you always have to have a human controlling it for when it goes wrong. No,
Yes, but
while a
for
program is just like
example,
if it's
we have
fixed, it's
now
fixed.
teams of maybe 20 people maintaining one installation.
Yeah,
I think AI you could reduce it to two or something. No? Like
depending on how
one
much
people
physical work has to be
actually
done. No?
following the process and one people in the field that goes out when there is a problem.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And that's I don't say the jobs will go away, but I think there's gonna be a whole big reduction of those jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Cashiers, I think it's also a job that's gonna vanish in the near future.
Yeah, but like, is that like I know that's AI based, but that's like
That's not
the
even
what?
AI based for
No,
me.
the
That's
only
just
thing holding it back it's implementation. It's not they're not waiting for the new AI
no.
breakthrough. They can already do it if they want to, but
But if one field gets like I don't know how I can say it, but it's like all fields are like pushing the barrier of when are we gonna use
yeah,
AI. And I
exactly.
think at some point one field is gonna be like, okay, we're going full
And then
AI,
the dam breaks.
and then
Yeah,
it all breaks, you know? Everybody's gonna be, whoa, they're cutting costs so much, we also have to do it now.
yeah,
And I think we're at that point. People are getting more expensive, people are asking raises, the
mhm,
standard of living is increasing.
yeah.
Um, people are just very expensive in general.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
insane to see how much money is going to people, which can so
I
quickly
think
be
almost
optimized by.
40% of the revenue of a company goes back to the employees and stuff.
Yeah,
Maintain their
if you like look back at like a month's work, you think, okay, what did I do this month,
that
and how
actually
much did
made
my
money.
and how much did my employer pay me? Like not pay me, pay like including taxes and stuff. That's like in the thousands, two
Yeah,
thousand, 3,000
crazy.
euros taxes for what? Sometimes you have like this shitty month and you don't even. Like, was it worth 3,000 euros? Like
You
3,000
don't
euros,
have
you
to
can
tell
like
me.
travel for months, right?
I sometimes feel like where is this money coming from? But
Yeah.
somebody's paying and everybody's happy along the way. So I don't mind it, but
And that's what I
I
meant
know
with like,
it can't last. That's why I'm making this reference. Like everybody's pushing this dam,
yeah,
but at some point this dam is gonna break, and we're all gonna be like, hey, this guy is using AI and is cutting cost 40%. We could also do it.
yeah. So,
And
so
at
the
that point, it's gonna be brutal.
so what do you think will happen?
I think so. For example, the repetitive jobs, and I can see coding also being
No, but like
replaced.
if the dam breaks, I mean, just shit show, society's gone. Like,
I think we have to see it in a different way. And I was actually thinking about today in the car because I thought I had a pretty important meeting with one of my bosses, but it was actually. But I was thinking about the concept of not asking for a raise, but asking to work less.
okay,
Like,
yeah,
I know you can't pay me more, but can I work less?
yeah,
I think that's a bit where we're going. People are gonna work less
mm-hmm.
and get paid enough to live, but it's not gonna be that has. If you really want to be rich, that's not gonna cut it. You know, you have to
Yeah,
you have to do something in your spare time or develop a skill that nobody else has, or make content that nobody else has. And that's why I think also investing in this, like,
Yeah.
there is more to life than the repetitive job that you're doing. And I think people have to, how I say it, put more effort in creative things that AI struggles with.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going, I think. Like,
And will that give you like, will get that may be a brutal question, but would that give you satisfaction in life?
I think, I don't think like I like my job now. I would not say love, but pretty good job. And I see I can go far with it if I really want it, but it just doesn't cut for me, you know? I like to talk about a lot of things. I don't want to specify myself on one thing. So I try a lot of things, you know? Like you can see, look around, I do
Yeah, but
I
that's
do
nice.
weird shit.
Yeah,
99% of my weird shit doesn't actually result in anything.
that's
But
nice that
maybe
you
this
try.
1% that I'm trying here actually results me in a job that cannot be replaced, you know?
I know.
It creates value for something or for some people that cannot be replaced by an AI that does not experience the world as we do. I think that's, especially entertainment, I think it's gonna be a real big thing in the future. Like for now it's only like 20, allez, everybody watches entertainment, but like I'm saying, if we get more free time, entertainment will be a way bigger thing. And I believe that's where the future is going. And that's something that AI struggles with.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like sometimes like I thought that for a long time as well, but then I think that's our ego telling us or like convincing us that we are so much better at entertaining than any AI would ever be.
I don't think that's true. Um, that it's basically ego, but I will acknowledge that AI can also be funny. I saw some AI that was trained on famous people and they were saying like stupid shit, and it made me laugh because they say it in a way that famous people would say it,
Yeah.
but it's totally ridiculous. Like the Seinfeld AI show or something. They did a whole Seinfeld episode or whatever or series, and it was all AI generated text and speech and jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I can see such things working, but I also know that it's limited to what it exists. That's why I mean, like, entertainment, especially, is something. It's always something new. Like, what's the next entertaining thing? What was before TikTok? Like, TikTok happens, and all of a sudden, that's the new thing. You
Yeah,
know?
and even in TikTok, you have these trends, and you don't know which thing is gonna go viral, and then
Yeah.
suddenly everyone's singing one song or doing one thing, and then like nobody decides that. But that's still like because we don't understand it. But what if it's simpler than we think, and we're just not capable of realizing that we're so incapable of
No,
predicting
that's
it.
also a future that could happen.
So I think like
So
at
what do
first
you
I was
believe?
like,
What do you believe?
at first I was like, okay, arts and creativity and stuff, that's the way to go because like all the functional, the thinking stuff is gonna go away. But now I'm not so sure. I think like I don't know what's here to stay and what's like how we're gonna find meaning. But I think that there will be an
Meaning
even bigger.
and actually making money to support your life.
Yeah. So
That's
okay,
two
so
things for me. Like,
okay, so let's
no,
have
but
this.
there is
I know,
like 80-90% of the people just work to live, you know?
I know. But and the thing is that I think that's a lot of these people think that their life would be so much more fun if they got the money that they had without doing anything. Which, like, I'm not judging that, right? Like
Uh-huh.
that
That's
should
how
be
I lived 15 years of my life right now.
exactly. So, but I'm not like that. I'm not intrinsically motivated in doing something that will give me long-term satisfaction. If I think about like, oh, imagine now. Okay, so let's have now like a thought experiment.
Yeah,
Let's say that everyone
take
in the
us
world, like that now, all the big AI companies and all the big production companies are gonna get taxed, like are taking all the jobs. All the jobs are gone except for the people working at these companies, and like 99% of the people are
Management and stuff stay.
99% of the
Yeah.
people are, because even management will get optimized by AI, whatever. 99% of the people don't have jobs.
Okay.
Like hypothetically, we tax these companies so much that the amount that we tax them, we pay this minimum wage to everyone that exists. Everyone. Like I know
That's the I don't know the
general,
yeah,
the basic human income.
basic human income. That's a topic that's been more popularized again by for these elections, I think, or for previous elections.
Yeah, you have like this tiny book, and I don't know why I keep recommending it to people because I haven't read it myself. But it's called Mana, and it tells
It's
about
what?
this
Mana?
Mana, Manna. It's a
Yeah.
book that my brother talked to me about a lot, and so I'm just reciting him. So just let's say that
Everybody has a minimum
Yes,
wage to support us.
so everything's fixed by a couple of the big companies. They tax enough to pay everyone money. So you can live your life doing nothing productive. Just
Mhm.
like if you want, you can sit on a bench your entire life and you would have enough money to take care of yourself. You won't be living in mansions and driving jets,
Mhm.
but you would have enough money to just take care of yourself, eating, having a place to sleep, whatever. Like how like okay, so this is the rules. Now, what are you gonna do? Like what's like are you gonna just travel and do some fun stuff and hang out and get drunk with friends? Because I think that'll
Probably.
get bored
That will
very
get boring.
quickly. Because that's short-term satisfaction.
Let me counter that, because this is basically the basic human income, or whatever
Universal basic income.
basic universal basic. That's been criticized and popularized a lot of times already. I want to say this: how, like, of all the people that live now, all the people that live in this hypothetical situation, how many of them would actually pursue their dreams, like try new things? Do you think it will be more, get like a steady income, or do you think it would be less because people are like, I don't need any more money?
I don't know, because the thing is we are all educated and we all live in a society where everything that's productive is being like what do you say, it's like being positively reinforced,
Mm-hmm.
while everything that's not productive being shittily reinforced. So you have this feeling that you always have to be productive. So people will do like, oh, I always had this dream of starting this or doing that, and they will do it because they have this need of like, oh, I need to be productive.
Is it not the same thing as we talked in the beginning? Like intrinsically, we strive for evolution and for optimization.
Yeah, exactly. And so the thing is, like, I think there are two possible outcomes of what you're telling. There are these peoples that have goals intrinsically, and they will go to these goals, and like these are the people that just without any like rewards, they will just get up and do and work hard for this long term satisfaction. And there are a lot of people that say like, why would I even put the efforts? Like just deciding to your ecological like biological need of like, oh, I'm just optimizing my energy. I'm being lazy, because being lazy is like the ecological, the biological.
I think
need,
lazy
right?
is a bit a bad word in this sense.
Yeah.
I would use contempt.
Yeah, because lazy also like it's important
Imply
to
that
think
you have
that
to do something.
that productivity is good and non productivity is bad. So then like this is our generation, I think, and the generations that are still like in the society where productivity is being. And so I think then you have these
how do you say
people
glorified? Glorified.
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 And so then you have these people that have a goal like me, that like they're like,
Why are
will
you saying that?
because I had it last year. I didn't
Yeah,
work for an entire year, and I went traveling for half a year, and that was fun. But in my back mind, I always said like, how do I deserve to be traveling for half a year? How do I deserve to be here? I'm just lucky. I'm just way more like privileged than all these people here, and it feels kind of bad that I'm not doing anything. And then I came back, and that's even worse. That I was just at home and I didn't have I didn't have this extrinsic motivation of extrinsic duty of like, you go to work, which is why I'm now way happier with work. While I think you are the opposite. I think you would be happier if you had like this freedom. I need this thing, but that's our generation. Then I think,
Can I add one thing to
yeah.
that? I lost my thought. Um, why do you think you're not worth using your privilege?
Well, that was a big thing in my
That's
mind,
it's a
right?
similar thing that I say to Boris. Like
It's
privilege is
everyone.
not bad in essence for me, how I see it, but it's the way how you use it. If you use it to do stuff you like, you're using your privilege to a good extent for me.
Yeah, and I think that most people, if like even non-privileged ones, if they got the privilege, they would also use it for some things that would feel right. But it was not this like I owe it to other people to work. It was more like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah, and I think that's the same thing like we said three times now already. It's just something intrinsically in humans.
I know,
We
but
like to be productive and strive for optimization.
well, I think that society after the first
Yeah,
couple of
let's go back to
generations,
the
first couple of generations after the human basic income and no work and whatever, it's gonna be like they're gonna be like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do that. They'll just figure it out. Like
yeah,
there's
it's a
gonna be a
new
lot of
world.
depression,
It's a
a
new
lot of
world.
people that don't know anything about to do. There are gonna be a lot of people very happy, and then the following generations, or we just lose this entire concept of productivity and everyone just lives life like doing what they want, and the concept of productivity doesn't exist anymore, just like, oh, do you like it, or we fail and there's going to be like this massive global humanity-wide feeling of like meaning
Or
crisis.
depression.
Yeah, depression, meaning crisis, like even harder than now. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Let's invest in new shit to invent, to do new stuff, to build new stuff. To I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Like, like
I
which
think
are
I think one does not exclude the other there in that sense. I think there will be some kind of depression or some kind of readjustment needed because for me we're entering a new age actually. Like we have been in a new age for I don't know 200 years or something or 100 years. For me, this is maybe the beginning of a new age in the sense that we have to think differently about how we fill in our time
yeah,
during
exactly.
during our lifetime. But I don't think it takes away that people still want to achieve things. I think people can be content that they don't have to do things,
Yeah,
but also feel the need to do things that they like.
yeah,
And in how I see it, it's more in line with how we were as a monkey. We did the things we liked, we got the food that we wanted, we got the play that we wanted, we got the females that we wanted or the
yeah.
males, and that's just how we lived. We got this, we strayed away so far, I think,
Mm-hmm.
glorifying making money, glorifying
Exactly.
building a business for the sake of money and to be rich and to be famous and to be well known, that we're actually maybe kind of reverting back to a more natural state in that sense.
Yeah, but this natural state doesn't have any long-term satisfaction. So if you, for example, if you would go to that thing, you would just like from the moment you could walk, you would just go to your primal instincts, and nobody would like. I would not willingly choose to study like until my 24th year of my life until I could achieve a job, which now I realize is very fun, but I wouldn't like every step of the way. I said like, what the fuck am I doing? Let's just stop and live like monkeys in the jungle. But nobody would be like, oh, let's not do that for 25 years for so that afterwards I would get a job that's fulfilling. Like people would go so short term that I think that a lot of the goals are established by forceful education, by like having to study until you're 16 or 18 or whatever, because you learn how to invest time and effort into long term like efforts. I think, or we
I
could
don't
just all
know.
be satisfied with short term and just like hitting rocks against rocks and rocks against people and then whatever. So
I don't know. I think people can also be strict on themselves to educate themselves. Like,
I really don't think so.
no?
Like I think that like forceful education is one of the best things that our like Belgium has ever implemented ever. Like that people even if they don't want to, they just at least they try to have their like basic like introduction of education.
But what? Imagine the world where we don't have to work anymore,
Yeah,
and you're trying to pursue For example, making a podcast. You can have an AI guide through the whole experience, right?
Yeah, but you'll be like, oh, after 10 minutes, you're like, oh, what the fuck? Let's just stop and boot up Fortnite. You know, like, where is this? Where did you learn to like invest a lot of efforts for this long-term satisfaction? That's through school and that's through mandatory stuff. Through like, oh, you have to make money, so you have to work. And after a while,
Okay.
this long-term feels nice.
I think you're right in the sense that um, in general, the whole populace is moving towards short-term achievements and short-term
Yeah.
goals and short-term rewards.
Yeah.
But I'd also think the people that can look past that are being way more successful because there is less competition there.
But do you think these people inherently were long-term, like long-term satisfaction people, or was it learned through them by like you have to be productive, you have to invest in like this longer term
No,
to
I
get
think
your rewards and
I can only speak for myself, but I'm only 26, so I cannot talk about long term. But how I feel is once you find something that you want to go for, that you want to go for, that you actually start taking the steps yourself. I think I don't know if allez, like it for me it's more a matter of finding what you like and having the courage to pursue that in contrast to being lazy. I used in the previous example the analogy of how I see life and how I see people moving through life is that we all are on the same big river. We all have this boat, and I, for example, did not really care to pedal throughout 15 years of the last 15 years of my life. I liked the boat. I liked the view that I had. I was not really um, I was not really trying to achieve something or make work towards something.
Yeah.
But I also did not mind just flowing down the river.
Yeah.
And as I grew now older, I started realizing, okay, the river is not taking me to where I actually want to be.
Yeah.
And I still respect people that do find that destination a good destination. But I chose to work towards a goal that I may never achieve.
Exactly.
But it still gives me satisfaction. Like for now, we've been talking 2 hours about AI, and now it's getting more philosophical, but I like that. And I think people can find similar things depending on if they want to search for them.
Yeah.
And maybe a bigger portion of the populace will not search it because they're content with their lives and they like Fortnite and they like to flow down the river. But the people that do want to achieve something will be way more successful, I think.
Yeah, but do you think that, like, don't you think that a lot of the shirts, I mean, we should look for messages because I see you have some,
we'll see in a second.
But, like, don't you think that a lot of the people being, like, just going into the river with their caps on, with
no,
just,
it's not caps, they're just content with how like, the river is flowing.
Yeah, there are people, okay, so I think there are three kinds of, like, people in your analogy. You have the people that realizes they're just flowing the flow, and not the followers, and not the leaders, but the followers, not the creators, but the consumers, you know, like, these people just like, oh, I'm fine with it. I'm just here for the rides.
Yeah.
You have the people that say like, no, I want to be the guy that goes there. I want to achieve something. I want to do something for my own. I want to like invest. I want to be like ondernemend. And then you have like the third kind of people that don't even realize that they're on the river. They're just like they're so caught up in this short term, don't look around you, just like, ooh, I don't know, just follow, I don't know, like don't even think about what you're doing. And these people, I think, will only, like, this portion of the will increase because a lot of the people never like stood up and looked around like, oh, I'm in a river. They would say like, oh my god, if I play Fortnite all day, I don't even realize there's a river. Like, oh, nice. You know, like I think that's very respectable for you that you realize there's a river, and I really do like that you are the one that's like doing instead of following. But I think, and maybe I'm biased because I'm like the only reason I would pedal is because I learned to pedal during my studies and I learned to go my own way instead of following. But I think a lot of people, especially if you've never had any investments to make. Like just like the moment you realize you're existing, you're human, you just do whatever you want, and nothing takes more than 10 minutes, or it's boring. And like, would you ever learn? For example, workout. Would you ever learn that working out is nice, or would you just become like an up, like these big fat people that don't even have bones, just like content, like sometimes I feel like TikTok and stuff is making us more like up and less like people realizing they're on a river.
Maybe we are overthinking it in the sense that it's kind of like the Wapawet loop for me for survival of the fittest, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, a lot of people will maybe fall into this trap,
Yeah.
but as time progresses, as the next generation comes, for example, I look at my parents, and I think a lot of young people look at their parents and are like, these are the good aspects about my parents, but I want to differ in that and that and that
Yeah.
direction. Maybe they are like kids growing up with their parents playing Fortnite and are like,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
this guy is doing nothing all day. I
Yeah,
don't
but-
want to be this guy.
But that implies that doing nothing all day is something bad. Maybe
No,
these kids will
it's
just be there and have like, oh, this is life. Let's also do that now.
no, because there are also other people, and social media will be a huge thing. It will only grow, you know. People on social media are like in your face, dude. You're not being productive.
Yeah,
You
but
can
that
achieve
now, because
this.
productivity is something you it's good. It's something you should do later. Like if our hypothesis is correct, then that's not a thing. So I think that, well, maybe you're right. Maybe like the people that are intrinsically so motivated will be the only ones surviving. But then you could also say like, oh, just abolish education and everyone that's not educated will get fucked. Like, you know, sometimes you have to invest in people that don't even realize something's, so you're doing something for their goods. Especially when having kids, they'll probably complain like, I don't want to do this. I want to do something fun. No, you have to study. Why? You'll see later, and only later they realize. And you'll never have that if no one needs to be productive.
I see it differently.
But yeah, I know that's I
I'm
don't know.
going to the bathroom. I also have to
Yeah.
go. We're gonna take a short break of 2 minutes,
And then we'll
and
answer all
then
the questions.
we'll answer the questions because we got a bit philosophical at the end.
But I like it.
Yeah,
I like
definitely
it.
like it. Do you need more pints? I'll just leave you guys. Big as an apple. You've never seen a den apple in your life, and you only see the Belgian ones. You don't know what's out there, but the mind explorer, big ones. Yes. Alright. I'm back already. See about the comments. We did sales. Yeah, we answered it fully. I'll leave Hugo's questions for when Doedzie is back. Also, teachers are biased to come back to that topic. Definitely. I think Doedzie explained it very well. Sorry for the noise. I'm a bit hungry. Doedzie the bad guy. Fleck was here. He also joined. Hugo, if you want, you can just join the conversation with us, right? You don't. I think you know very much about this topic because I don't really have the time right now to read this in depth. Microfoon plots geen toe. Maybe restart Discord or something. I don't know. So Hugo is also somebody very busy with these kind of topics. He's also exploring and thinking as many different perspectives. The macro theory of human motivation and personality that concerns people's innate growth tendencies and psychology. It pertains to. You know what innate is, right?
Yeah, I lack self-determination 100%. Don't have innate.
I think everybody does. Just hard to get it out of yourself.
I tried for half a year and then I realized I'm at peace by not.
I don't know. You feel motivation, I think, because you came back from the journey.
Well, I feel motivation in some stuff, but I mean that I realize I need that external motivation. For having like a productive long-term investment. It's difficult to invest long-term in something that I like. Doing some efforts that's during the handling of the efforts I dislike. Like I need external motivation. Achieve it.
You mean like the gym or something?
In the gym or even longer, like working or like building something up and like not thinking about what do I want to do now, but like what's better to do. I couldn't live on my own. I always need like something and people surrounding me having these. I wouldn't know what to do, and that's I think a point where we differ very hard.
Yeah, I'm very driven alone. Say, I don't know. I don't know if I can say I'm driven, but
I'd be the only person in the world I would kill myself. Like
that's just general. Like if I would be the only person in the world, I would also kill it. Like what's that kind of?
Want to explore something?
And what? There is no meaning then. If you
that's exactly my point. My only meaning comes from external motivation.
That's for everybody.
I don't think so. I think people will be like, "Oh, let's explore stuff, or let's do stuff, or let's build stuff, or I don't know." It's like playing a game single player versus multiplayer.
I don't think there would be a person in the world that if he was the last person in the world that would be really happy. Maybe they say it in the beginning, but in the end you need servers, you need whatever to keep running, electricity, water. You need basic comfort and food and shelter and stuff.
But
And
won't people start like building some shelter in the woods, like and just survive? You know.
at some point you need some connection with.
Yeah, but then like
And what's
that's
the connection gonna?
extrinsically. You don't then you
Yeah.
don't have an intrinsic drive, no?
No, that's what I mean. Like I think everybody has to have some extrinsic driven values.
Yeah, if it,
Otherwise, what are you working towards? Like you can have self development, that's all good and well, but what is it for if you cannot share it or cannot use it anywhere?
yeah, but that implies that productivity is
No, it's not. It's not the same as productivity. Self development.
or well yeah well that self productivity or self I don't know that
It's not. You're not working towards something. Just knowing who you are.
yeah so like what do people work for then? For social gratification?
That's one of the main reasons I would say.
In my book, that's extrinsic motivation. If you do something to have like a social
That's
status,
intrinsic for you.
extrinsic.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Everything can be related to something extrinsic, I think. Autonomy, competence, relatedness, self-determination. So I think autonomy is something that we
That's missing with
that's
me.
that's intrinsic, I think.
That's something I don't really have. Working on my own, like doing something properly.
But these two, I think, relate to extrinsic factors, right? Competence and
Yeah.
relatedness.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know. Yeah, sure.
So if you want to drive yourself to do something, I think there always has to be some extrinsic motivation or interest. Otherwise, like I don't know,
That's
maybe
weird,
there
though.
is some Buddha out there who can stay alone, but I don't. I think 99.99% of the people would just kill themselves. They were
But
the only ones
don't you
left.
find that weird?
What?
That you live for this social gratification and having money and having friends and having like that you cannot that life is purely something that has to have a goal and has to have like something like a purpose, a meaning, and you don't have to like let's have fun alone in the woods building some cool stuff, not brag about, not show about, just doing my own thing, and let's just appreciate that without having it to show it to someone.
It would be fun the first month or something, but at the end you want to show it to somebody. Like
So
people are community based
so
creatures.
is everything what you do just a way of like in not the negative way like bragging rights?
No, I'll use an analogy I was thinking about lately, and it made me actually be more of a believer, take it or not, like
Even in
in,
religion
in
or
God or in religion
yeah.
or whatever. And it's this sense, like, how do we get to the closest part of ourselves or the most biological selves or of ourselves? How do we put away all this extra bullshit like reputation and people knowing you, having money, having statue? How do we strip this all away and how do we get back to what a human lives for or what a creature lives for? And I was thinking about where do we come from in a symbolic way, like Adam and Eve, the two first people in the world. Religion, it's just a symbolic way of saying. And they did things that were good and evil, like they were like humans, they explored the
Mhm.
Garden of Eden, but they also ate from the apple. And I think for me, that encapsulates the most what a human is supposed to be. Like 99% we're good, 1% we do something bad, but we also learn from the things we do bad.
Yeah.
And how do we share the good and the bad things is through stories and through communication with others.
Mhm.
That's what makes humans such a valuable and such a dominant species. We communicate,
communication, and
and we share knowledge with each other, and we interact, and we get gratification from each other. Like now, like
Yeah.
we're having a really good conversation, and we are both like, "Oh, this is fucking awesome! Like
Yeah.
we live for this."
yeah. No,
And I think if you would be alone, I don't think many people could actually do that. People would say they want to be alone, but I think most of the people put them in the forest for 1 month. I think 99.99% would.
yeah. Like I know, but that's I don't know. I find it so weird. But what you said about this, like doing wrong stuff, which I think like if you're going purely into like your existence, I think you should just like live with whatever you're doing and not trying to like everything like money and job and reputation. That's all like this bad stuff, and we all have to shed this to become like the ultimate natural.
No,
Like I think like embracing everything we have and
That's
saying
why
like,
I-
it's exactly the
that's
natural
an
way.
apple. Like
Yeah.
it's part of what it's meaning to be a human for me. And we pass this meaning from generation on generation, and it evolves in something way bigger than we ever imagined.
So I think like I read a very small like little story booklets about it. It's only I think like 100 pages or something, so it's not even a book. It's called Siddhartha, and like it was one of the followers of Buddha, almost. And it tells basically of that. So I think you would enjoy that. It's also someone who's like at first he's like, I have to become this because this is good and all the other things are bad. And then like I have to do it, I have to do it. I have to focus on not being like not being invested in money, not being invested in reputation, all these things. Like I have to be very focused, very focused. Then at one point he's like he like loses his way and splurges and does everything he wants and then after a while he starts feeling bad and everything, but he knew what it was, and then he started like living again, following the path again, but with way less like way less hates about the other stuff, just like appreciation.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
Just-
that's life, and now I'm just
or
gonna sit next to the river again.
Appreciation or acceptance. Like
Exactly,
I
and
don't appreciate that I'm addicted to weed, but I accept it for what it is, and I try to work towards a better me.
yeah, but then like there's still some conflict in that book, which I find really difficult. And then he was like, yeah, and then like the message I got from it is like, yeah, and then I just like now that I felt all of these feelings, now I wasn't like tempted anymore. So now I just sat by the river and I don't know how it ended. I'm not gonna spoil it. I don't even remember it. But like
You can write the book down.
a lot of this,
Sit-
a lot of
Siddhartha?
this Siddhartha, SIDDA.
Yeah, I think you are referring to Siddhartha from Hermanès.
Yeah, Herman. Like
Hermanès,
German- yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
So in the end, that's a book about self-discovery.
Yeah.
And that's all about what you are speaking about. So you are speaking about self-discovery, and you are speaking about good and bad. And we need to understand that good and bad exist as a moral concept, and is dependent on a culture where we are living, right?
Mhm.
So we cannot forget that we are living in a culture with a set of values.
Yeah.
And the problem comes is that when our values or personal values do not fit in the general values of that culture, when that happens, we have a problem. And I think that this happens often with young people, right? Young people are entering the world, the culture is already there, the main values of that culture are already there, but we have the right to decide what are the important values for ourselves, right? We don't
Yes.
need to embrace, right, immediately the values that a particular society wants to put upon us. And I think that's one of the problems. So, like Nietzsche also says, we cannot follow rules. We cannot accept blindly a morality that exists in a particular culture. You need to discover by yourself what values have really value for you and by what values you want to live by.
Yeah.
So I think that the first thing that we need to discover is what are the values that are really important for us? What are the values that I want to live for? What is really important? And from there perhaps you can build something, and build something that belongs to ourselves and that we feel that is meaningful, you know, and so on and so forth. So I'm enjoying very much your conversation. I think that these very complex topics, we need to look at that from a point of sociology, economy, culture, media. All these interact with each other, right? All these create a culture. And in the end, we are, one individual in that culture. You know? So, yeah, I just wanted to add that. I'm enjoying very much. I'm going to keep listening.
No, I really like that
Yeah.
you speak up because we are just two. You have a lot more experience than us in life, so I think
I'm
it's
just older.
yeah. But that's what I was talking about. Like experience is the only thing that we can give towards the next generation. Like you can tell stories, you
Yeah.
can say how you saw it, and then they make their own story about what you're saying to them.
Each person needs to live their own life. So what I'm saying does not replace the experience of each person, right?
No,
Yeah.
no.
You are going to have to discover your truths, and that's the thing. I think that, and this is the difference between those who are seekers. We want to know. You'll never find the truth. You'll never find the truth. You'll never achieve it, but you want to get it always a bit closer, right? To get it a bit always closer. Some people have this need, others don't. Uh, and because some people have this need to find this truth, inner truths and truths about the world, they suffer more than the ones that accept a particular
Yeah.
culture, fit in, everything goes linear, and life seems okay, right? Uh, but are just two ways, I think, of approaching life in the end.
It's like following and just don't think about it and everything will happen
Yeah,
and find your own.
yeah.
But I was like also thanks for sharing. It's very interesting. But I was wondering when you said about like societies bringing some like a construct of how to be and how to live upon you. Do you think that people have like intrinsical opinions about it, which are like squashed by like the society that's
Well,
forcing it to be?
yeah, I think that, yeah, it's a good question. I think that here is important. This is why we speak so much nowadays about critical thinking, right? Critical thinking. Thinking critical about something, you have the ability to reflect upon a topic. And I think that your channel is all about that. So I think that everyone, some more than others, are inquisitive. We want to know. But then there are some cultures, and everything starts with education and the school. As I wrote, we are taught to do things very well technically, but people don't really tell you, learn who you are as soon as possible. You know, so that should be the first step. But no, what people want to do and the school do, and that is let's make this guy a guy that will work in society, that has a function and will fit in society and will contribute to society, even if that is at expense of his happiness, fulfillment, and so on and so forth. So there is a book very interesting I would like to recommend that is about from Marcuse. It was a philosopher. Is Eros and Civilization.
Oh,
Eros and Civilization.
in,
Eros here is, although we associate to sexuality, is also about sexuality, but is about act of creation, the possibility to create, and civilization. And he writes about Eros and civilization because it seems like the more you have civilization, the less you have creative powers, and vice versa. So it seems that there is a tension between a very civilized society full of rules, but that always come at a cost.
Yeah.
So there is a balancing act always between the expression of the individual, the force, the creativity, the sexuality of the individual, and then the society. Because everything has a price. To have organization, you need to pay something to have that organization, to have that technology, And so all these things are very interesting. All of them are connected. So yeah, that's it. That I want
Very
to say.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, but like I think it's very relevant also for example in my studies as an engineer we were like more than 50%, so 50, not 15, 50% of engineers that graduates will not work in an engineering fields in the first, like after the first 5 years, because you're from the get-go you're like, oh, you're good at math, you're good at science, then you should do science. You would be the engineer. And so you follow this path. You don't think who am I, what do I want? You're just like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And like a lot of these people, they start to wake up, their eyes open at like 22, 23 years old after like their final years, and like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, and they stop like 1 or 2 years before they graduate, or even afterwards. And then people are like, oh, that's so bad. You would have been such a good engineer. That's yeah, but for what? For, like you said, for just filling in the thing that society had like purposed it for you. And it's so weird that like I even like when I was traveling and last year I was like 25, you know. Even then I had this thought like, what do I want to do? Who am I? Like, how can I be 25 years old and just now asking me the question, who am I? What do I want? What am I doing with my life? Like, how is this not something I was reflecting on when I was 10 years old, you know? It's so weird that it's all like, it's like being pushed away, like, oh no, you started a function, now you're gonna do this function, and that's like, I know that was the way to go. Oh shit, that's my but it's weird to think about that, like, and yeah, sometimes I'm like pretty like, fuck society, this doesn't make sense, this is not natural, so let's just stop and live in the woods. But then otherwise, like I love society. It's also
Yeah. I think I understand what you say. So in
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Unless the values of the society we are in are really not compatible with ourselves. So sometimes is the case, right? Sometimes it's the case.
That's why people
But
move, I think.
yeah,
So maybe we can. I want to ask you, Hugo, about how you see the evolution of people with the AI upcoming. Have you thought about that, or have you given any thought to that, like what we were talking about before?
yeah, I worked in two business where AI, where the core of the business was AI. So I worked for IBM in the past, Watson Health. They started to implement AI to analyze, to help medical diagnosis. It didn't work out. At the time, even the doctors were scared about AI because they thought that they could lose their jobs. And now I'm working in digital pathology, where artificial intelligence is also going to be applied to the diagnosis of disease. And in this case, there is no way back. AI is really succeeding. So AI is becoming as good as a doctor making a diagnosis. What is happening in this particular case of digital pathology is that the pathologist is not going to be discarded. You will have less work, but you will be the ultimate responsible to evaluate what the AI has decided. So he is the decision maker in the end. You at least as of today, right? He's still the decision maker. So
Do you think
for
people
sure,
will be satisfied by that kind of job? I would say,
yeah, that's another question for sure. I don't know that we don't know.
because we were talking about, would people start doing more things in their free time if work frees up, or is that something that you think will lead to people being less productive and just accepting the flow of river more, or how do you see that?
I think that is not just with AI. I think this has to do with the computers in general. You see, there is computers are based in okay, our brain, there is a part of our brain that works a bit like that, but world, uh, people start to have some resistance, I think, towards all this too much informatization of the world, and of our lives. I think it's frustrating, it's not does not bring meaning, and I see people a bit burned out due due to the constant utilization of this technology. Of course, they are excellent, they are fantastic. For instance, we are having this conversation now due to this technology, but that's the silver lining, right? But the other part is quite dark, and we are perhaps too dependent on computers and machines, and all this transformation happened very quickly in 20 years. So humans didn't even have time to adapt. The brain didn't have time to adapt properly to the shift, right? So I think that is having a profound impact on the way we live, and people trying to escape and be in contact with nature. I think that that is a reaction to the world that we are living, like trying to find a balance, a compensation is what I think, perhaps.
You think we'll get this balance, or like people?
I hope I hope so, because otherwise you have social unrest, you have disease, you have inability to communicate and cooperate, because we need to be healthy to interact with others and collaborate, right? If we start to feel sick, we isolate, and so it's a cascade. And so I hope that we'll find a balance for sure. Otherwise,
Do you think that, like, for example, you said like this urge for people to go back to nature and to like escape a little bit of this like super digitalization and technologicalization. Like, do you think the companies will listen to the people if the people start like going back to their roots, or will the companies keep getting society more and more like digital, and that you're like
yeah,
pushing the
I
divide
think that is
bigger?
a good question. Yeah, that's the thing, and that's the problem. I think you are touching here something that is on the way to tyranny and democracy. I think that we might lose the grip on democracy if these big tech companies that have too much power and start to have too much power and begin even to have too much power over government and so on and so forth. You know, if we don't have strong government, strong regulation to in the end, politics exist to give voice to people, right, and to create organization and functional societies. So I think that if we don't have, and here is the problem, and it's a question of politics. Some right-wing people will say, "Hey, liberalism and stuff." I don't think that it's time for liberalism, like they say, neoliberalism, like, because I think that we are in need of strong regulations and a central power that cannot be corrupt, not be corrupt. Need to listen to what is needed to create health in societies, see, and create regulations and policies to control, monopolies and companies that eventually begin to have too much power and can even shape the life of societies.
Yeah, but if it's like a societal thing and they limit the companies that drive our economy, then won't that be like a bit of a like a will they ever limit the companies that
You
drive?
know what is the Yeah, I understand, but I think you know what is the problem, and I hear Benjamin speaking that he cannot understand very well in the beginning how money comes and the price of things, and this is an important topic because I think that it begins to be harder and harder to justify economy, the value of money. This does not seem a serious game anymore, So seems like we are speaking about economy and we are speaking about abstract monster that nobody really understands very well what is anymore, you know so
I had
it's
a
the
follow up.
problem.
I had a follow up for what you said before. So you said we're in need of strong regulation. Do you think that's something that AI can provide? So, or how do you see us getting there?
It could be, for instance, blockchain is a nice technology, is a great technology that could put really order and cut corruption in many things, right?
Yeah, it gives back power to the individual a bit.
Yeah. So for sure, I think that AI in the right place is great. The right place, and again, implemented without bias. Because, if you have economical interests and you are in control of AI, I have in doubt that you're not going to tweak AI to give you profit. If the game is about money and you is a bit right,
Yeah.
so you'll have to have neutral entities that fine tune AI to specific societies and to the needs of specific societies. The need of Portugal is not the same need of China. Societies are different, even regions are different, right? The cultures are different, expectations of people are different. So I think AI can be great as any technology. It's like a knife. You can use a knife to make a salad or make something to eat.
Yeah.
You can kill a person, right? It's the same. It's just a tool. AI is a very advanced tool, right? Uh, the problem is these tools are very powerful, and if they are not well used, they can shape societies. They can drive us all mad. They can create societies of master and servants. And I think we don't want to live in a society like that. And that's it, I think. Um, so here again, it goes to the basic human values, right? Integrity, um, honesty. So eventually, we need to ask if we are not losing these values, because if we are losing in these values, we are in big trouble.
Yeah.
Because the utilization of the tools will be always misused. The tools will be always misused.
Optimized, huh?
So in the end, it goes to the human. You see, the human, the values, the health of the leaders, how corrupt or not they are, and this kind of things again. I think.
Do you think we will find those values more or are closer in touch with those values in the near future, in the future, or do you think we're gonna stray away from it and we need to abruptly change the way we think about society and economy to not
You know,
get strayed away too much?
yeah, we have a lot of pressures, and the problem is this: pressures. We humans need hope, and hope is in the future, right? Hope is in the future, is not in the present. I have hope into the future. I need to project. Humans have an inherent need to project into the future because we have dreams. Nowadays, we have too much pressures. We have tensions between the big powers. We have the environmental threats that seems that we don't have really a solution, and unconsciously, I think, is creating a lot of trouble and taking out hope on a global scale, and this is very serious. So I think we are living very complicated moments, to be sincere, and even these wars and these tensions might be symptoms of what is going on. We are a lot of people in the world. We want to live. Everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants to live, big life. If everyone lives like the Europeans, the world cannot stand. Not possible, right? So, but the others also have right. If we want to be honest, unless we downgrade the way we live and show the way and say, see, because the others also have the right. The Chinese and the Indians also have the right if they have the ability to live to our standards, right?
Yeah. That's what's
So-
happening. They're like lagging behind. Their technology is maybe not on the point where we are at now, and they are not willing to maybe take the same steps as we are at this point, maybe.
Yeah, there's different levels of development. I also think that, for sure.
And then we're not even
But
talking
they are
about
buying
having
cars. They are buying cars. They are constructing houses. they are start to consuming like us in a way, and they have the right that now we need to, if we keep promoting a life that is materialistic, very materialistic, and we evaluate ourselves by our success or materialistic success, uh, seems like nothing is enough. You have a house and then you want always a bigger house, and then you will compare with your friends, and if your friend has a bigger car, you will want a bigger car, and it's a never-ending story.
Well, I
And if
think
everyone, yeah, oh, sorry, that's it that I want to say. Just
no, well, I think it's very important that we teach or like that we learn to live less like extravagantly. I think going back to like, oh, don't consume and everything will be right, will be okay. I don't think that's the way either. I think we should also like invent technologies and invent stuff
mm-hmm.
that helps
Yeah,
also the developing countries that are going through the same thing as us, because who are we to say to them, like you said, like, oh, don't do that because we did that and that sucks. That's like we
yeah,
need to find solutions, and just saying like, oh, let's just not consume anymore, that's like, yeah, then everything's still fucked. Like, let's, I think it's two-way. I think it's we should reduce our consumption, but also we should like use our progression in technology and in our advancement to invent new stuff to help it. But
yeah.
we're going a bit off track now.
No, I think I want
No,
to add to that we cannot really say to other countries or other developing countries like, hey, you should not do that. I think we need to be the example for them, economic acceleration or whatever, and they will come to the same conclusion, I think. And that's where we want, but that's where we are now, and I think we kind of lost, like you said, the hope or the belief in a future that will work for us all. And
yeah,
importantly enough, we need to start believing, I think, again. I know I lost my
yes,
belief somewhere along the way for a future that will be better than what we are now projecting.
But because a lot of the
yeah,
people think that like we're gonna solve it by negativity, by just blaming what we did and just like, oh, we suck, fuck you. That's all. Like, this is not gonna help. You know,
mm-hmm.
No,
you have to think forward. You have to have hope. Have to invest in a better future instead of just
True,
wailing in your suffering. Just, oh, we suck, and you go sit in the corner and cry.
yeah,
Like that's not gonna solve anything.
true, absolutely true. I also think that, yeah. Um, so, uh, what how we can do it? How we can, right? How we can do?
that's a whole
I don't
other
know.
pair of sleeves, or how do you say it?
That's for
Uh,
next week.
oh, my computer is really can't handling. Happening here. Hello, Hugo, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, my computer is.
That's it somewhere.
I'll close this one first and read up some space, I guess.
Something.
Um, so I think we're all like very ideological speaking, and I think we're on the same page of where we should go as a society, but actually taking the steps to get there is a whole different thing, I think. Because like we said,
Yeah,
90% of the people, or maybe a bit less, actually wants to flow out the river. They just want to follow the river. They don't want to change. They don't want to downgrade. They don't want to think about stuff. They just wants to
some
live.
people, some people cannot even, because imagine yourself if you have three kids and and you are really with a rope in your neck, you don't have option even, and that is quite sad. You know, some people don't have option. Um, some others have. That's it.
Mm. So, what do you think would be a healthy way or like a healthy mindset to have stepping into the future? What should we try to leave behind?
It's like we in the end, each of us is like a be as healthy as we can. And I think that just from being as healthy as we can, mentally and physically, we can provide some contribution that we don't even know what contribution might be because it's in the future. But I think that all we can do for now is really try to be as healthy and informed as we can, right? And and live life. It's not easy, My life is not easy, for instance, but I think that it is that needs to be done, And it's simple. In the end, it's simple. What needs to be done is simple and makes sense. Being healthy, being informed, having care towards what we do, paying attention to things, and try to have meaning in life. I think if everyone was able to do that a bit better, I think that the world or the society or the street would improve. Um, uh, might be a bit off topic, but what else can we do? I think we cannot do.
I think that's a very
it's really the
beautiful take.
base.
Yeah, I'm just a bit more pessimistic maybe about it. I don't know if we get there in time then.
Eventually, you will not, because you need to see the sun one day will explode. So we are doomed anyway, right? We are doomed anyway.
Mhm.
But while we are here, right? I don't even know if tomorrow we are alive. This is the truth. But while we are here and while we wake up, I think that do the best we can in a nice way, with style, let's say. We know it is to have style. Is the best we can do, and then see. Maybe we'll be surprised. Let's then see what comes out of that attitude, of that practice, right? Of paying attention to people, listen to people. But we have that feeling of despair, and the question is, do you want to be there? What this feeling of despair is going to bring you? Right? Will bring you nothing, I think.
No.
Right? So what can really be done? I need to live my life. You have to live the life the best you can, independently of how the systems are working. So I think that I increase the probability of success, even of the system, if I control my behavior in a nice way. You see, just focus on my behavior. Eventually, I will touch other people. Other people will recognize that this eventually is a good thing. You need to go and see. Okay, in the middle of all this jungle, of this despair, what can I do?
Yeah.
What is the best? And I want to do the best. If I want to do the best, what is the best? And I think the best starts from the very basics in me. That's what I mean. That's it.
But I also think.
But I'm with you. No, I was saying that I'm with Benji. I'm also super negative about the systems.
Yeah,
Not going to lie.
I think we're in a position of so much luxury that we're negative about everything, while or I don't know where you live, but in Belgium especially, everything is done for us. We're we have everything, and still people are being super negative about everything. And sometimes I feel like it's because we never had real shit in our life. We never had something that went really bad. So people are just trying to find ways to be negative, and I'm like, we should be so fucking grateful that we can do anything we want in our life. We have we relatively have peace. I know there's war and there's very shitty situations in the world, and we should be so fucking grateful that we have everything we want. And sometimes I feel like for the people that are being super negative and being super oh, the system sucks, I'm like, yeah, but look at your life. How much does the system suck? Okay, it might not be very future proof, but still, you have the best life any human has ever lived in the history of mankind. Except for the 0.00 and so forth %. Now, sometimes it's so easy to be negative, and so it sometimes it takes a little bit more effort to see everything that is going well, because for a big society, and I am not preaching that we have the best society or that everything is so good and that all the systems are perfect, but the job of the society is to lead the rivers of all these people in their boats, just saying oh, I follow, to lead the river while nobody is complaining, while everybody just follows to lead it to a point which is productive and which is a good thing. And I think that's more difficult than a lot of people think, and there's a lot more that comes to play with it. And so I'm very grateful that they are able to steer this big blob of people that don't really that just follow and are not entrepreneurs, are not doers, are just followers, to still have a very functional group of people. Because okay, if you're working with 50 people, it's easy to manage, but if you're working with millions, I couldn't do it. So I don't know.
I think that it needs to be messy, needs to be messy. There is no other way around. The question is, it will be more or less messy. You see what I mean? So, because it will never be perfect. No way. There is no perfect, even because what is perfect, we don't know. So, and I agree, like I'm Portuguese and I live in Belgium for many years. And I know two realities. And in Portugal, I struggled much more materialistically, like my salary was much lower. And so on and so forth, and it made me run more, like made me have more drive, to be sincere with you. Now in Belgium I have a better pay slip, a better salary, and I accommodated to have some comforts that in fact I didn't have in Portugal. And sometimes I'm getting lazy. It's true.
Yeah.
I'm becoming lazy, and I'm aware of that. So sometimes I try to fight it with sports, but yes, it's true that sometimes life, if it's too easy in a materialistic way, sometimes you need to struggle, to really, I don't know, focus or understand what is really important. I think is this. If you struggle, in a situation of struggling, we end up to identify what is really important, what is really needed, the basis, what needs to be there, what cannot fail. And in Belgium, I'm becoming a bit lazy, but also is a good thing, because I think that humans should also have the right to be lazy. We cannot always be in struggle. So a balance is good. A balance is good.
I wanted to pick up on your point before that you think a lot of Belgian people are too negative about their situation.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is? Is that because there is maybe not enough perspective for the future, or that people realize that they're having a good life?
There are so many factors. It's a good question, Benji. There are so many factors. The other day, I was also thinking about that, and I went to a graph to see. You can even search that on the web. In Belgium, the peaks of depression. When the peaks of depression happen, and you know what? It correlates with weather. Go check official sources. When in October, November, when the weather begins to be bad, people begins to be more negative. It's true. And as it arrives March, the levels of depression and depression decrease, optimism increase, and so on and so forth. So sometimes it's simple variables such as the weather. This is crazy, but the data is there out there for you to check. Check depression in Belgium and check by timelines.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
But
So there are so many variables. I think one is that. The other is lack of space. In Belgium, you don't have much space. Humans need space, needs green space. Other thing is, I think in Belgium, it is not a critic. Cultures of avoidance and cultures of contact. Cultures of the voice, and it happens. There are many reasons also why these cultures develop in that way. We don't even know. But cultures of avoidance, maybe because there are too many people start to avoid each other. And that's not good, because humans need contact. We are brainwired to contact with each other and to touch each other, right? You need to take care how you touch, of course. but we are made for that, and I think that, for instance, compared with Portugal, here you avoid more people. There is more a culture of avoidance and distance, and I think that might contribute a bit for that. For the feeling of
judging stuff.
being isolated, and this might be I think it's the weather, these dynamics in the culture,
Yeah.
and lack of space, perhaps. Belgium is highly density, has a high population density. Don't
I
forget
think
that.
this will get better in the future then, no? For remote work and just the
Yeah,
way
I
that
think so.
societies are evolving. Do you think both
Things
people,
are changing. Things are changing.
do you think people will emigrate from Belgium more? Or how do you see that in the future?
I see a trend in that. I see a trend that whenever possible, people want more sun. Uh, at least in terms of sun, I'm speaking about weather. For instance, now I will be able to work in Portugal for 2 months.
Yeah,
Something in the past was not possible, but now I can do it remotely.
I
Um,
think that will be
so
a
it's
big
good.
change, and maybe also with the virtual work environments, like what's
Meta.
Microsoft is or Meta is making. I think, yeah, this will
I hope
be.
that we don't go that way. These are I think these are dangerous ways, this meta stuff. And in the end, these guys, what they want is to control us more and more, is what I think. You know,
But it also
I
gives the liberty to work from other spaces, other spaces. No,
yeah, yeah, but I can already. So do I need to go deeper? It's like Robert Musil is one of my favorite writers. The guy say progress is great. Would be great, but only if it stops.
but that's not
You
how
know what
humans
it
are.
means? Is that
We
you
are.
achieve a level of progress, but then it's optimal, but people are not happy and they want to keep going. And they spoil the progress. You know what I mean?
People want to progress. People want to evolve and optimize and get better at stuff doing. I don't see a point where
Yeah,
people
but
are
the
this is enough.
technology. Yeah, but for instance, the games. I don't know if you go into video games.
Yeah, we play
But
a lot of video games.
nowadays we have games with more better graphics and they are better in everything. But my question is, do they bring you more pleasure and the mechanisms are better than the ones 10 years ago?
I find it
I don't.
difficult to say because we are also older. Like
Yeah.
maybe the younger people enjoy it more as we did in the day, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But so in the end, it's not the game; it's our experience towards the game, and it doesn't matter if you have much more progress. So what I'm saying is that from the moment that you achieve a threshold of comfort, a threshold that is good enough, what you are putting on top of that, people keep saying that is progress. It might not be. It might be layers of something, but not necessarily progress. Um, you know what I mean? So I think that is just business driving, not it's just the need of business that is driving change. That change does not necessarily correlate with serious progress, in the sense that progress is something that brings advantage, serious advantage in our life. You know what I mean? So
That's an interesting concept.
So yeah, we have to think about what is this progress. We say progress, but what is it? You know what? Um, you know. So when is it good enough? Because everything is a price, right? So then you will have to pay for that progress that we call progress. But are we really sure that we need to pay that price, or that thing 5 years ago was good enough and I was super happy? You know?
I just don't see it slowing down or reversing in
It
that
will not slow
fact.
down because this is economical driven.
Yeah.
This is capitalism, and this might be this why there are some critics on capitalism. I think capitalism achieved great things, but again, everything can go wrong, and everything is being driven by business, right? And so business needs to sell. Even if your car is good, they will have to sell cars next year anyway. So
Hmm.
they'll have to press some things, they will have to lobby. For instance, these less zones. These less zones are, is to sell cars. Okay, it's also to decrease pollution somehow, but it's to sell
The
cars.
mission zones, you mean?
the less zones,
Yeah,
low
yeah,
emission zones. Yeah,
yeah. So
it's to
you
sell
think it's
cars,
like
you know.
lobbied by
Because
auto companies to be able to sell more
for
different?
sure, absolutely. Because if you have a Ferrari from last year that is super pollutes a lot, you can enter the less zone. Doesn't matter, right? So what is driving is the year of the car, not
Is that a
the
bad thing if
CO2
it
that is made.
also
Okay,
contributes towards a good thing?
excuse me, Benji, I could not hear.
Is that a? I find it difficult to see that bad as a bad thing because it also contributes towards a good thing. And sometimes you have to take a bad thing to be able to work towards something good.
Yeah, I understand. It's not totally wrong, but good was to close the streets to cars, for instance. But they don't have courage for that. Right?
Yeah, it's
In some
difficult. Yeah.
cities of developed countries, actually, they do. Okay, you want really to make it green? Close the cities to cars. Be brave, you know. Um,
That's like practically not possible, I think, right? Like people want to
oh,
move, people want to get
everything is
groceries.
just. People just, it would not be practical to stop 2 years, the world for 2 years, and we stopped the world for 2 years in the pandemic, and we are still here,
It's true.
right? It's true.
But
So,
it had a lot of impact,
uh,
It's not like we are the same as before. I think
yeah,
COVID was a real changing point
yeah,
for a lot of
that's
people
absolutely true.
to
That is
start
absolutely true.
looking at how
Yeah,
their
I agree.
situation
I
is.
agree.
And
We are not the same. We are not the same. But I'm not speaking. This is really drastic. If you want to close 10 streets in a city, it's not that drastic as stop the world for 2 years.
no,
And
definitely not.
so I'm sure that it will be possible, and people are not going to kill themselves.
But I don't think closing 10th Street is gonna cut it for Antwerp or so.
No, no, but I'm just
Yeah, you're
I'm
making an
just speaking
example. I know.
aloud. It's just an example,
I'm
of
just
course.
saying the scale. Like this is my pessimistic talking. Like the scale that we need to change is out of perception of what we can achieve in the near future. I think of
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
reach.
but again, everything starts with ideas, and everything starts by changes in little things. Like sometimes you think that things are impossible, and then you do it, and hey, it was not impossible. It
No,
was
I
possible.
don't think it's impossible. I think it's more than just doing this thing. I think we need a lot of good things to happen at the same time to be able to achieve that. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
I feel like not enough people are aware of that. People are content with their life. People are just surviving, getting through the horrible winter months, and people
It's
are
true.
giving up on dreams and hope for the future. Like I am. Like this is giving me hope, but until now,
But
I'm pretty somber, or like, how do you say, pretty
yeah,
pessimistic in life.
but I'm going. I don't know who is listening to this, but I'm going to tell you a story a bit personal, and I think this is really serious what I'm going to tell you. So I had some crisis, existential crisis, and I went like 2 years ago on pilgrimage and stuff. And I was a bit like you, like also very pessimistic because I'm a very rational person. And indeed, I agree with you. If we think in systems, other things are, we have reasons to be negative. And I was in that state, perhaps even worse because I'm older and by other reasons. I went on pilgrimage really to do some deep work, to clean up yourself. And there was something that was very clear to me, and I want to share with you during this pilgrimage, is that it doesn't matter the state of the world. The life was given to you, and you have a responsibility to do the best you can, you know, with your life. You know what I mean? And here you need to be a bit egoistic, and not egoistic in a bad way. Egoistic in the sense that you have a mission in this world. You are here. God or whatever you want to call it, nature makes you wake up every day in the morning, right? And so you have a responsibility because you wake up. The responsibility is to do the best you can do for yourself. And this was something that on the way it felt upon me as essential truth. And I think that it is. It is an essential truth, right?
No, I agree with
Uh,
that.
Independently of what is going on, and we don't have, because what is going on, we don't know. People are just now dying in wars by they don't have food. We don't know because we don't see. We just see 1%, or we think that we see. And we enter in despair with that 1% that we can see. But independently of that, we have a responsibility. You know what I mean? Uh, so, yeah, I think it's this. You know,
No,
we
I
have a
think too, but
responsibility to do the
yeah,
best we can.
I
You know?
think there needs to be like some kind of trend or hype that changes people's way of looking at life. But it's sometimes it feels like you're fighting alone in a battle that everybody's just giving up upon.
Well, I don't know if it's giving up on some people. Just like I said, like and just like you said. I mean, like some people are just like drifting on the boat and enjoying their life and just like and I think it's in a way it's the same and in a way it's like totally different than what you just said, Hugo. Is like some people are like, okay, hey, we get this life, but then you can see like, okay, we have this innate purpose and this blessing, and we have to make the best out of each day. And then on the other hand, it's like, so
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
life is a fluke. There's no other reason to live it and just enjoy and do some fun stuff and just like tomorrow you could be dead. So why not just do whatever you want and you know, like just live life. And that's like the two ways in which like one is very selfless and one is very selfish, but like the balance between these
Yeah.
two, just like appreciating like life is very like I don't know, a thing that has been granted, and you just have to make the best out of it. Except for like, and
Yeah.
that opposes a bit the opinion I think that you might have, Bash, is that um you think that like, okay, we have to like life is not fun, we have to strive for like progression, and people are not listening, come on guys, we have to do like trying to get a group of drunk friends to achieve something. No, come on, guys, we have to walk there. And I'm like, I don't care. I'll just sit here. Like, it's nice that you want to like progress everything, and I'm not saying that the way to go is just to do nothing. But sometimes people are just like, yeah, well, that's your battle, and I'm just gonna float in my river and enjoy the ride until I'm not there anymore. No, like these are I don't know,
Yeah.
so some different takes about.
To clarify, I'm not totally that's
I know. I was just
driven. Like I've
yeah.
floated on the river for 15 conscious years, so
Yeah,
I've definitely had my portion of enjoying life in that sense.
I don't think you should feel bad about it. Just like finding a balance which you are yourself comfortable with.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I just don't. Yeah, I
You
I'm
know,
not over the pessimistic
yeah.
mindset yet. I think I need to read more and expand my mind a bit more before I can fully grasp what's the possibilities are for us. Because at this point,
Yeah.
I feel like not enough people are willing to put in the work and the effort towards a greater
Yeah, I don't know.
future.
Maybe you should like try to. I should you should do nothing. But what helps for me is like instead of trying to look forward a lot, like oh we're not building enough for the goal. Just like look at the now and at today. Like what like how am I feeling up today and
Yeah.
having less of that
Yeah.
this long term battle.
In the end, we don't have nothing to do with others. We are responsible for our actions, and if the others are doing X, we don't have to do X. We can do Z, right? In the end, the responsibility for our life is in us. So, but I think that Benji is very sensitive and is extremely clever. And when that happens, you can see more things. And because you see more things and you think a lot about those things, um, the darkness increases, right? But then, if you are so clever, you can also need to use rationality to fight that thing and say, yeah, but that's not clever at all. If I allow darkness to build up on me, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's like a bit of the way of the Buddhist or it's like it's instead of like building up everything and like growing up just like I don't know, having zero anything, just live, you know, like nothing else. Like I don't know.
I
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
what you
Like
said,
Albert.
Hugo, is very
Yeah.
true about the rationalizing, but I do not see it in the way that it's like you have to be that clever or something for it. I think a lot of people do it in society now, that people over rationalize the actions that they could do and only see the negative
Yeah.
of what they cannot achieve, because it's like one speck in a sea of ocean. Like you're doing one thing and you can rationalize it from, okay, I'm doing this one thing, but the guy next to me is not doing it, so it will not have a netto
Yeah.
effect in the end. So why am I still doing
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of
Because
young people struggle with this idea.
yeah, it's true, and even older people like me, I also suffer from the same problem. Yeah, but like Alberto Camus, the French philosopher, said, "Life is absurd. In the end, you don't really know what is the meaning, the ultimate meaning of life. It's absurd, you know. So in this absurdity, you have to live it the best you can through your values, you know. And here comes one thing that is called courage, you know.
I
In
think
the
that's a
end,
good, yeah.
in this
That's
absurdity, in this madness,
I think we
decision needs
all
to be made.
lose the courage at some point, and
Yeah,
it's
it's true,
important
it's
to
true.
not
But
overthink
we
it.
also have the ability to renovate it, huh? And you know that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
that's what we're doing now, I think, yeah. But the
Yeah.
when you like, it's so easy to lose that courage and to let other actions of other people's action influence what you're gonna do in this life.
Mhm.
Like, oh, all my friends are smoking, so it's not bad that I'm a
Yeah,
smoker too. And then you get sucked into
yeah,
this. I mean, I'm not saying it's because of my friends. I'm definitely one of the main influences of smoking in my friends group. But I would say once I started stopping now, like, or like intermittent stopping, a lot of other people also like, hey, maybe we should all do it together. And I think this gave me kind of hope for the future, that if I start to work towards
yeah.
something I believe in, others might join in as well, and we can get there
Absolutely.
as a group. That's
That's
the
leadership. That's leadership, huh? It's leadership,
I
isn't it?
think
It's
maybe we
leadership.
have too little leadership, because I did not see myself, of I do not see myself as a natural leader. I see
All the
myself as the
leaders, all the leaders were different. All the leaders were different. We have a concept, a preconcept of what a leader is. That is the charismatic bullshit. But it's not necessarily truth. There are many leaders with many different profiles. The leader essentially is the guy that showed the way. And if you had an impact on your friends, you had a role in leadership. If even if you didn't want.
it's not
So
about one thing, it's about expecting others to do it better. And
I think that's
maybe that's my fallacy. I don't know.
there I don't agree with that because we should not expect anything from the
No,
others.
expecting
No?
is a bad word maybe, but I think the leaders we have in our society are not adequate enough for us to go to a sustainable future. And I think that's why
It's
I and maybe other people feel guideless going through their young years or
absolutely,
in
but
their
is an
beginning.
opportunity because it's opportunity to do self leadership. It is the most important thing that one can do. Self leadership,
But I
you
don't know
know.
where I'm leading to then, you know?
Oh, you know very well because you know what your values are.
I
You
know
know what
what
is
my
important
values
for
are,
you.
but I don't know what societal values should be. Like,
Doesn't matter the society. See, now we are in Belgium. I don't know if in 2 years you something pops up in your mind and you go to China and the values will be different, or you go to other country. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you build yourself, independently of what winds are around you. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, it's like you are building yourself from your core based on the values and your decisions. and it doesn't matter what society is going to think. In the end, society always criticizes. You know, if you paint red, they will say that you should paint blue. If you paint blue, they say that you should paint yellow. It's never good. So if it's never good, you have to do it your way, you know? That's self leadership. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Um,
just not used to. I'm used to leading myself, but I'm not used to um be an influencer to others. I think I've embraced this idea a couple months ago, or maybe a year ago or something. But it's not. I don't feel it's something natural to me.
I think that influencing over the others is an accident. You know what I mean? It could be a positive accident, eh? Like a collateral, but it's not the main thing. Like what I say is, I think that self leadership is the key. And then if the others think that, hey, Benji is really nice, I really enjoy the way he's conducting his life, you are influencing people if they think that of you, right? Because even if they don't tell you, you are influencing people. Because they are going to catch something out of you and they are going to imitate you in a way. They are going to follow you. So, in the way, you are showing the guide, you are being a guide, you are showing the way. So, I think that self leadership, and goes again to self determination theory, again, there, self leadership is extremely important. It's going against all the odds, you know, all the winds. It doesn't matter. I have my values. I believe in this and this and this, and I'm going to do my life and draw my life by these values. See, so I think this is extremely important. I don't want to force you on that,
No, no,
but
it's just
I think
concepts
I think
that
it's
need
really
to
important,
be challenged.
especially when we are in existential crisis and in so complex societies as we live in, right? I think we don't have any other option. But now I'm going to I'm speaking too much, but I want to just say that self leadership and determination to leadership have some basis. The thing is that we don't live in isolation, and it's very difficult to uh, develop self determination and leadership if we don't have relatedness, competence, and autonomy. You see, the guys that develop self determination theory, they think that the individual alone will not be able to develop himself if he does not have these three helps: autonomy, competence, and
Mm-hmm.
relatedness. You see, relatedness is the need that everyone has to connect with others
Yeah.
and to be part of a community. And I think that is also another problem. We don't feel part of communities, and this does not help. Competence is the ability to perform in a particular setting. For instance, you are in Belgium, you speak Dutch. It's great. I don't speak Dutch. I lack that competence. It makes me weaker. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, competence. Autonomy. Autonomy is more related to yourself. You are healthy. That is great. You can walk. You can do almost everything, probably, or even more than a normal person. You have autonomy. Right? So, in order to develop self determination theory, we also need these bases there. Otherwise, it's very difficult to develop. This is why it's so difficult for some people, you know, because some people don't have communities, some people don't have the competence, and some people even don't have the autonomy. So then we even call these guys lazy. They are not so lazy. They are just trapped, you know. Um,
Mm-hmm. And how
but
do you
for
see
the
it?
most of us that have these three things more or less aligned, we can build up in self determination and self leadership. I think.
And how do you see it? Should everybody build this or build towards this, or how does one how does an individual go about? Should they try to be in their own leader, or should they follow in certain sense? I don't know. Like, I was never
Depends.
really interested in how others did things, I would say. I was always trying to do it on my own and get my own experience
That's
and do
good.
it for my own.
That's good. I think that's good. In my life, I had different periods. sometimes I found people that I admire. See, and sometimes I tried was not mimicking their lives, but I wanted to incorporate into my life some things that I saw in some guys. Sometimes it was a teacher, sometimes a guy that I knew older than me in the job. They had things that I liked to have in me, you know, and these are the role models, right? Doesn't mean that we lose ourselves by admiring people, I think, right?
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. Each person is, I don't know really.
But this self-determination theory, or
Self-determination theory is
is that for everybody, or how do you
is
see
that
it?
you move yourself by intrinsic values, not by extrinsic values.
But is that something everybody should chase, or how do you see that?
Oh, I cannot say that everybody should say it, but to me, it sounds like a good thing because you are exerting your power and you are exerting control over yourself. And exerting control over yourself is perhaps the most important thing that we can do, right? Not because uh, our friend is asking us to do that or we are forced by our parents to do that. No, but because we made an examine, we reflected upon ourselves, we understood our values, we understood or defined some goals, and we decided to, by intrinsic values and energy, to move forward. Um, I think is a good thing.
Okay. No, I
Personally,
can
I think.
definitely see that, and I think for a lot of young people, especially in Belgium, the community or the relatedness is one of the big issues. I think
Yeah,
in my
yeah, we spoke
experience,
about that. Yeah,
and that,
and then people feel alone,
yeah,
and
I think
alone
that's a
they don't
big
have
thing.
energy. Don't have energy.
Yeah, no, it's very good things that you said today, man. That's
I'm happy. I'm happy
no, I'm
if
really
I
happy
can
you came
contribute
on and
somehow.
that you
And I'm
were.
happy that you have this channel and that you are thinking about those things and that you are involving other people also
Yeah, I
to
don't
think
know
about
who we're
this.
reaching and who sticked around to the end, or like till now, but yeah, it went very deep, and I really like that. Thank you for the insights that you gained and shared with
Ah,
us, even though it's
yeah,
maybe
that's
difficult to share personal stories or.
it's not difficult because in the end we are all the same. You know, and a personal story is not so intimate as one might think. My story exists in thousands of people, as your story exists in thousands of people. In the end, we are a bit all the same.
That's
So
true.
yeah, all right.
Yeah,
So you got the
maybe.
good job.
um, yeah, we kind of strayed away from the AI thing, but I think it kind of goes deeper to what humans want
Well,
to
I think that
achieve
we
in
can
life.
connect with the self-determination theory. AI seems to be a threat to self-determination theory, right? To ourselves. Seems like we. I think that the problem is that we fear to be too much dependent on machines and this kind of
And which
technologies.
kind of pillar does it challenge for you? Is that the autonomy?
Autonomy for sure, autonomy and competence. And if we don't take care, if we also lose our touch, human touch, we'll have also troubles with relatedness because we'll not learn how to contact as humans with others. Um, so it can affect perhaps
So
all the
you don't,
three.
but
I don't know.
and in one hand you believe in self-determination theory, in the other hand you are realistic enough to acknowledge that the future will indefinitely have AIs in them. Um,
Yeah,
how do you see that working, or how do you see the combination then?
yeah. There is something that is also good. Is that you don't need to embrace everything. Many people do not have a car. Uh, you know, um, so you can build your life if you do not agree too much with something. I think You cannot totally avoid if that thing is, is everywhere, but you can control it. Right? You can control how you relate to those things. If you don't agree too much with AI, I think that you can do other stuff. There is always other stuff to do that is not so dependent on AI and computers, right?
It's true.
If you have an Airbnb, you don't care too much about the AI and the computers. For instance,
Yeah. So you think those areas will be more popular, or how do you
I think
see?
so. There is always a counterbalance. That's the beautiful beauty of things. So as you have tension in one side, people move to the other. It's always like that. Because people get tired and they will have to find coping strategies. So I think that you'll have the world of old tech that will be very nice as well. You know, and there are already coffees that don't have Wi-Fi. They promote speak with each other. You know, um,
So you think that
I
will
mean,
be more, oh yeah, that will be a real thing in the future, that people actually stay away
if
or stray away
if there
from
is
it?
democracy, I think yes. But if we enter in dictatorship, technological dictatorship, perhaps no. And that is the big dangers, I think, because there then people will not have a choice. In
Do
dictatorship,
you,
people don't have choice, and technological dictatorship, I think that could be terrible.
how do you
Um,
see the end stage of those technology dictatorship? Is it like Matrix
oh,
kind of thing, or how do you see that?
yeah, it's kind of. I see 3 or 4 companies. I think it's not difficult to. It's a dark scenario, and it's not. Should not speak about this lightly, but I think that 3 or 4 companies could start ruling the world much that they should. For instance, when I was studying at the VUB, there was a teacher from that was very connected with the European Commission, and he was teaching us about politics and stuff. Yeah. And he wrote a book, and in this book, he created 3 scenarios for the world. And one of the scenarios was master and slave society driven by technology. I'm talking about a guy that is connected to the European Commission that wrote the book. So this is real. It pop up in the mind of
Yeah,
clever people.
it's already there.
Uh, yeah, it's an idea that's not even new. So, and in this view would be you have the lords that control the technology, and then you have the engineers, the really top guys from who that technology dependent, because there will be always dependent of humans. The very high level skilled, right? The very live, the 1%, right? And then all the others is like slaves, you know. So there is a and if you see economically, you have already the 1% living and increasing the wealth every day, right? And all the others decreasing their wealth. So this is perhaps is the biggest fear that I have, to be sincere.
Yeah, I think that's just never, I don't see it reversing or slowing
And,
down.
and you don't feel, yeah, that's the thing. It's moving in that way. We have that feeling, right? Unconsciously or consciously, we have that feeling, and it's not nice. Yeah. But maybe things change. Maybe things change.
The only
We
thing
never
we
know.
can do is don't give up on hope, I guess.
Oh, we have to live our lives, you know. You'll have to live your life.
Yeah,
Uh,
just, yeah. I
not not like not like in hedonistic perspective, but also in the hedonistic perspective. That is also a part of life. But in the end, you are on earth. You are not God. You are not God. God rules the world for who believes in that, or rules the universe. You can call it nature, whatever you want. But we are not God. We are just a human. So also our responsibility is limited. towards the world. Our responsibility is based is very. We have a lot of responsibility towards ourselves, but we cannot. We are not Christ to save the world. That's for sure.
No, but I think everybody should try to be, I guess, no? Or like, how are we gonna get
You
away
should
from?
try. You should try. But when you start beating with the head against the wall, I think that you have to recognize. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
um,
it's just yeah. These kind of thoughts are the ones that are like holding me back, I guess. But I don't know, holding me
yeah,
back of what, what is the future gonna be? Ali, for the same, it feels like betting on racehorses a bit. Like you don't know which one is gonna win.
because maybe it is not about win, Benji.
No, like
It's not-
win or prevail. Like I don't know.
it's- yeah, I know, but we are condemned. Even humans. Look, human civilization is going to end. It's a question of time, right? We know that, right?
No, I don't know.
It's
Like
true.
for me, there is a future where we actually survive and go to other planets, but I don't know how far that future is.
Yeah, but you know that you are going to live perhaps 90 years old, right?
Yeah, I hope so. But
You know what I mean? So perhaps more, but um, we are limited beings. We are not
yeah,
unlimited.
definitely. But
I think we
you
have.
said civilization. That's why I was like, like there
Yeah,
are
but the
multiple
civilization,
futures that I can
all the
see.
civilizations were destroyed, right?
I mean, like yeah, like the
Like,
human race will
you
not be
know,
destroyed, but the civilization of this.
civilization, and even human race most probably will. How we are going to? Yeah, okay, let's go to the limit. Eh?
Okay.
Reducio ad absurdum. Is the sun is going to disappear? We know that, right?
Yeah, but that's
You know that.
millions of years from now.
Yeah, but anyway, it means that life as we know it disappears, right?
Okay, but that doesn't mean the human race will disappear. Like I believe in a million years we are only how long on the planet? 100,000 years or something? No, 10,000 years or something? That humans are consciously roaming the world. Like a million years is unfathomable. Like we cannot imagine what happens in such a vast distance. Like the last thing I'm worrying about is the sun um exploding or like rising, like taking us in. Let's say that's
Yeah.
really too far future, and I believe if we even manage to get there, at that point you will be inter um you say it intergalactic.
It's possible. I don't really know, but nobody knows, right? So
But we can tell how much progress we made in this short amount of time. Like we 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 grew from monkeys to AI in less than 1% of the time that the Earth is around here. Like this is
but
unimaginable.
but we are still monkeys, you see. We are in big wars, so we need to question if we really develop ourselves. Technological seems like, right? And humanistically and emotionally. And did we? Not so sure. The way we distribute wealth, um, the technologies that we have to distribute wealth. I don't see great developments there. Um,
Wealth is
so
like a
I don't know.
concept we made ourselves, no? I think like we said before, the era I live for living is one of the best we ever had. Like I think
Perhaps
the-
depends.
I think
People
there
in
is a
Africa
bigger
that have not to
portion.
eat, they don't say that. But for us in Europe, after Second World War generations has been quite good.
Yeah, I mean on a global scale, right? Like it was good for us because we were suppressing and getting wealth from other countries.
Yeah,
But
we were stealing. Actually, Europe has been stealing Africa
yeah,
and
that's
South
let's
America.
be real, that was why we were thriving. But I think on a global scale, we are now in the best time possible that we've ever been for humans to live and to express themselves as they want to.
Perhaps, yeah. I don't know, but perhaps yes. Statistics seems to say that, right? So perhaps.
Also, like just philosophically thinking, like people have the liberty and the knowledge and the capacity to think about these things, I think.
Yeah,
And that
and we have amazing
liberates
tools
us.
also. Yeah, we have also amazing tools, right? To yeah, life is good in a way. But so if life is good, why it doesn't feel good,
I think
right?
that goes back to what Doedzie Gautier was saying before. Like we all want to complain, but we are complaining or feeling uneasy because I think we realize it is like a bit too good to be true. Like where we're going, the
Mm,
futures that most of us envision are not that super optimistic. I would say like, oh, it's not like we have just invented the steam power and that we're now going into a revolution, like industrial revolution. No, I think we're past that peak already, and that we're now scrambling to keep our society glued together and not fall apart
yeah,
as
yeah.
individuals.
Yeah. The narratives that we need to keep everything together. Yeah, absolutely. I think so. But maybe can be other thing.
Yeah,
Maybe it
I
doesn't
think
feel good because our lives don't depend on these all these comforts. Maybe it doesn't feel good because our life doesn't depend on technology. It depends on something much simpler. It depends on emotions and meaning. Perhaps we are putting the focus in the wrong place.
yeah,
And although
I
we have
think
all these comforts, although we have all these things, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good because we are not putting the energy in what is important, the meaning stuff, the meaningful stuff.
mm-hmm, that's definitely
Um,
true.
yeah, yeah. But this is a conversation for another time. I would like
Yeah,
to
I
you
think
actually I would like you to read a book that is from Viktor Frankl. Was a psychiatrist. It was in the concentration camps, and he survived. And he even developed a theory. It is logotherapy, and he speaks about meaning and the sources of meaning. And the book
so.
is Man in Searching for Meaning. Yeah, Viktor
Search.
Frankl. Um, yeah, maybe a conversation for
And what
next time.
was the other one? It was Eros and Civilization from who?
Eros and Civilization for Marcuse.
Yeah, I'm trying, like I'm not a fan of books. I think everybody
But this
knows.
one of
No,
Eros and
no, but
Civilization is a bit complicated. The second one from Viktor Frankl is really easy reading, very good one.
yeah, I'm just telling this because I want to change that. I think there's a lot of knowledge and insights that I'm missing in my life that I can find in books, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Books are like mirrors. They have everything is there. We just need to search and find it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we maybe wrap this episode up because Gautier already left, it seems. I think it's a bit too late for him.
For sure.
But I'm really grateful that you came on and that you did not limit yourself
I'm
to typing
I'm
questions.
I'm afraid I made it a bit too long, but
No,
okay.
no, no. There is no script. There is no given time. Uh, for meaning, there's always time. I would say, like
Cool.
if there's something meaningful to say or to do, I could always make time for it. So I'm really glad that you took your time out of your life also to share
Uh,
your stories and your experience and your views. Because it,
I I hope I could share some food for thought.
yeah, I
Just
think
that.
for a lot of, especially younger people, this is things we're struggling with, and get to have
Not just old,
experience.
just not young. You know, I'm still.
No, I know,
struggling,
but
You know.
younger
So
people might question it more than people that
yeah, yeah,
already past a certain
it's
point in their life.
it's true. It's true.
But
Okay, guys,
okay, thank you.
You're still well.
And hopefully, yeah, if there's another topic in the near future that you like to talk about, you're always welcome to join in.
I will suggest, but I will be silent.
No, you see, if you feel the urge, definitely come on, and otherwise you can send the questions like you did before. But I definitely appreciated what you did here today, and I think others too. So
Okay, thank you, guys. So
thanks. All right,
stay well.
it's bye.
Bye. Bye.
Doedzie already went downstairs. Maybe a bit too long for him. But yeah, we kind of drifted off topic from the AI this session, but we really hit some really interesting points there. I have not eaten yet, so I'm really hungry also, and I hope to see you all in the next episode. Bye bye. Just in time for the ending. I also would like special thanks to Doedzie for almost sticking out to the end.
Almost sticking out to the
It was a
end.
bit too much maybe in the
No,
end,
it was just I really need my bed.
yeah.
And usually at 10 I'm already sleeping. So
Oh damn.
no, you're not. I'm tired after more than 3 hours of conversation.
I really appreciate you coming on, man.
I really appreciate you inviting me.
An interesting conversation. I think we both learned from each other some new things.
Exactly.
Especially how you look. Like we never really talked about it one-to-one about why you were traveling and how you were feeling about
Exactly.
life.
Yeah, and also your journey and the fact that you're doing this and all kind of stuff. I think it's really like cool. Yeah, it's nice that you're trying with all the judgments in our society and people always like, oh, what the fuck is he doing and what the fuck is she doing? What is he wearing and she wearing and all the judge. To still be doing your own thing and not be judged. I think
that's a difficult one. Huh? I think we all feel judged sometimes.
Yeah, but like I mean, like despite the feeling of judge, even if it's true or not, like despite that, still doing what you think is
relevant.
Worth doing. Yeah, it's really nice.
No, definitely, and I think you also do these things, but I don't think you credit yourself enough for it. You went on a trip. I can only admire that, man. That's and you say you didn't find anything or not.
No, I did.
Not the things you wanted, maybe, but
I got some insight for that for another podcast.
Yeah. I think we all need to do that time from time.
Of course,
like taking a drug. You don't know what's gonna happen until you do it.
Exactly, and especially doing it alone is very important.
But yeah, we'll talk about it maybe more
in the following podcast. Yeah.
Bye, wise.
Bye, everyone. Cheers.